I collect attributes in the apocalypse. This video is purely for entertainment and does not infringe on copyrights or laws. The rights to the novel and image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't like waiting and want to listen to this fanfic in full now? Subscribe to our Patreon, where you'll find the best fanfics. Chapter 451. So that's it. The training under the waterfall continued. Everyone stood under the waterfall to accept the impact of the water flow. For them, the plank training in the first week and the rock climbing training in the second week were not as difficult as the third week, which was the waterfall training at the moment. You know, this was the reason why they were asked to carry 40 gin sandbags on their backs at the beginning. If they didn't carry such heavy sandbags, they would be ruthlessly knocked down by the water flow as soon as they stood up, and they wouldn't even have the chance to stand. Of course, people like Lin Fan who are too strong are an exception. Murenzhu, Murengshan and Li Zihan, who had lasted more than 10 minutes under the waterfall for the first time, finally couldn't hold on and were washed down by the water flow of the waterfall. After they were washed down, they needed to rest and adjust themselves after standing for a certain period of time, so they didn't come back to train immediately. Mu Hongling's strength was stronger than the three of them, so she could naturally hold on for longer than them. However, since it was also her first time training under the waterfall, Mu Hongling didn't hold on for too long, probably just over half an hour but less than 40 minutes. Such a result may not sound impressive, but you have to know that this is only the first training session, not the first time. Everyone knows that with a continuation of training time and the increase in the number of times, Mu Hongling will be able to hold on under the waterfall for longer and longer. Of course, what surprised them the most was still Lin Fan. An hour had passed, and Lin Fan was still standing under the waterfall without any signs of being knocked down by the water. This simply shocked them. This is incredible. It's been an hour. Lin Fan can still stand there, and he stood for so long without any sandbags. He's too strong, but we should also look at this problem normally, because, in the first 2 weeks of training, when was Lin Fan not the one who created miracles? Yes. If he is the same as us, it would be abnormal. Only when he performs better than us, far beyond us, is it normal. I really want to see how long he can last. Many people who were washed down by the water and took a break stared at Lin Fan and started a heated discussion. They were all very curious about how long Lin Fan could last under the waterfall without any sandbags. Mu Hongling stood for such a long time, it was impossible for her to go back and continue standing immediately. Like Murenzhu, Murengshan and Li Zihan, she walked out to rest for a while. She came to the side of Murenzhu and the other two, frowned slightly, and said, Lin Fan's strength should not be that much stronger than mine, right? I can only last less than 40 minutes under the waterfall with a weight. How can he last so long without any weight? Mu Hongling was indeed very confused about this question. Although she knew that Lin Fan's strength was stronger than hers, she felt that Lin Fan's strength should not be that much stronger than hers. Just from the performance between her and Lin Fan now, Lin Fan's strength seemed to have left her far behind. This feeling was like Lin Fan and she were completely different levels. Now she was at the peak of the third level evolver, and if Lin Fan was not at the same level as her, it could only mean that Lin Fan had become a fourth level evolver. Hongling, we forgot to tell you something. Murenzhu glanced at Mu Hongling and said in a low voice. What is it? Mu Hongling was slightly startled. Murenzhu glanced around and made sure that no one else could hear their conversation before she continued. Lin Fan has become a level 4 evolver. After hearing Murenzhu's words, Mu Hongling felt stunned. It took her several seconds to recover from her shock. Lin Fan has actually broken through to become a level 4 evolver, Mu Hongling whispered. She was thinking that if she could break through to become a level 4 evolver before Lin Fan, she could surpass Lin Fan. But she never thought that Lin Fan's strength had already made a breakthrough, while she could feel that she still had some time to break through to become a level 4 evolver. What does this mean? It means that the gap between her and Lin Fan has been getting bigger and bigger. In other words, Lin Fan has left her further and further behind. It's not that her improvement is too slow. Compared with before, she can be 100% sure that her improvement speed in this training base has been much faster. But compared with a monster like Lin Fan, her improvement speed is really not comparable, and this is not a fact that she can change. Yes, he is now a 4th level evolver. Otherwise, it would be impossible for him to stand under the waterfall for such a long time for the first time without carrying a 40 gin sandbag. Murenzhu glanced at Lin Fan with her beautiful eyes and said slowly. When she talked about Lin Fan, there was obviously a hint of pride in her tone. Although she was not Lin Fan's girlfriend, in her heart, Lin Fan was already her boyfriend. How could she not be proud and happy that her boyfriend could achieve such a level? That's right, I was wondering how he could achieve this if he was still a third-level evolver. Mu Hongling nodded. In this way, she could still think more clearly. After all, Lin Fan had become a fourth-level evolver, and his strength was much stronger than hers. If Lin Fan was still a third-level evolver and achieved this, then she would really be shocked to vomit blood. However, brother Lin Fan's strength has just broken through, not before. The training in the first 2 weeks was definitely based on the strength of a peak level 3 evolver, Murong Shan added. She said this to avoid Mu Hongling's suspicion that Lin Fan had the strength of a level 4 evolver in the first 2 weeks of training, which was why he performed so well. Mu Hongling would naturally not speculate that way. She also believed that Lin Fan had not reached the level of a level 4 evolver in the first 2 weeks, otherwise the results of the first 2 weeks of training would have been better. With the strength of a level 4 evolver, without any sandbags, how long can Lin Fan stay under the waterfall in his first attempt? Mu Hongling's eyes also shifted to Lin Fan, and she speculated with some curiosity. Chapter 452 The Most Accurate Guess. Then let's make a guess. Guess how long brother Lin Fan can stay under the waterfall on his first try. Mu Hongling's words aroused Murong Shan's interest, and she proposed a guess. Her idea aroused the interest of Murong Zhu, Li Zihan and Mu Hongling. Okay, let's guess together, Li Zihan said. Murong Zhu nodded, indicating that she had no objection. Mu Hongling also nodded, indicating that she had no objection. I'll guess first. Murong Shan was the first to say, I guess brother Lin Fan can last for 2 hours. 2 hours? Isn't this guess too long? Mu Hongling looked at Murong Shan with some surprise, and said, after all, Lin Fan is not carrying any weight now, I think it's okay. Murong Shan nodded, her face full of seriousness and confidence, as if she was Lin Fan. Then I guess 1.5 hours, Mu Hongling thought for a while and said. Although Lin Fan still looks very stable now, and his body is not shaking at all, she has just experienced it herself under the waterfall. She knows very well that the impact of the waterfall water flow increases with time, as if there is a superposition effect. This superposition effect does not mean that the impact of the water flow will gradually increase, but that the pressure on the body will increase with time. It's like, in 40-degree weather, people stand in the sun for a few minutes, which is definitely no problem, but what if it takes dozens of minutes or even a few hours? The situation is completely different, and people will definitely not be able to withstand such scorching heat. Therefore, Mu Hongling thinks that Lin Fan can hold on for an hour and a half under the waterfall without any weight, which is a very good performance even as a 4th-level evolver. Then I'll guess 1 hour and 40 minutes, Li Zihan guessed. She thinks that the time between 1.5 hours and 2 hours seems to be very suitable. Sister, what about you? How long do you think brother Lin Fan can hold on? Murong Shan looked at Murong Zhu curiously. Hearing Murong Shan's question, Li Zihan and Mu Hongling also turned their eyes to Murong Zhu. It was obvious that they were looking forward to Murong Zhu's answer. Murong Zhu thought for a while and said, then I'll make up for it and guess 1 hour and 50 minutes. Murong Shan guessed 2 hours, Mu Hongling guessed 1.5 hours, and Li Zihan guessed 1 hour and 40 minutes. It seemed that she only had 1 hour and 50 minutes left to guess in this range. After all, she didn't think that Lin Fan couldn't even last an hour and a half, nor did she think that Lin Fan could last more than 2 hours. In any case, this was Lin Fan's first time to train under the waterfall. When he trained more times, he would undoubtedly be able to last more than 2 hours. Then our guess is exactly 10 minutes apart, Murong Shan said with a smile. Next, let's wait and see how long Lin Fan can last. When he comes down to rest for the first time, we will start the second training, Li Zihan said. Okay, Murong Zhu and Mu Hongling looked at each other and nodded to indicate that they had no objection. Time passed slowly, and soon it was 1.5 hours. Lin Fan still stood steadily under the waterfall, with no tendency to be washed down by the water. Well, I didn't guess correctly, Mu Hongling glanced at Lin Fan and said helplessly. Facts have proved that she still underestimated Lin Fan's strength, which can also indirectly show that she didn't know Lin Fan well enough. Keep watching, Murong Zhu smiled slightly. Time quickly passed for another 10 minutes, and when it reached an hour and 40 minutes, Lin Fan was still standing under the waterfall. Although his body felt a little shaky, he didn't fall down. I didn't guess it either, Li Zihan shook his head. 10 minutes passed again. When the time reached an hour and 50 minutes, Lin Fan's body had begun to shake violently, and he might be hit by the water at any time. Damn. It's incredible. He has persisted for so long and is still standing there. Yeah, although it looks like he is about to fall, he has persisted for so long. It seems that from the beginning to now, it has been almost 2 hours. Right, not 2 hours. I calculated the time. It is about 1 hour and 50 minutes so far. 1 hour and 50 minutes? It is really the level we look up to. I estimate that we don't know when we can last for an hour and 50 minutes with the weighted sandbags, and Lin Fan still doesn't have the weighted sandbags. I have begun to doubt whether his strength has broken through to the 4th level of evolution. I don't think so. The strength of the 4th level evolution is not so easy to break through. Seeing that Lin Fan was shaking, everyone started to discuss again. Some of them began to doubt Lin Fan's strength, but there were always a minority of people who had such doubts. Most people still believe that Lin Fan had not reached the level of the 4th level evolution. After all, in their minds, it is not so easy to break through to the 4th level evolution. It requires great efforts and more time. Lin Fan simply ignored these voices and continued to persist under the waterfall. However, he was also very clear that he could not hold on for much longer in his current state, not even for 5 minutes. So, after another 3 minutes, he chose to give up. Lin Fan took a deep breath and walked down from the standing area. He was not washed down by the water, but walked down normally. Anyway, he could feel that he had reached the limit of what his body could bear. If he persisted, he would only end up being washed down. Others were washed down by the water before they could walk down by themselves, but he could still control himself to walk down. These are two completely different concepts. 1 hour and 53 minutes, Murin Shan calculated Lin Fan's time, then looked at Murinzu and said, "Sister, your guess is still the closest." Murinzu guessed 1 hour and 50 minutes, and she guessed 2 hours. Obviously, between the two of them, Murinzu's guess was more accurate. "You are indeed the one who guessed more accurately." Li Zihan and Mu Hongling looked at each other, and then they both looked at Murinzu. Murinzu nodded helplessly and said, "Everyone is just guessing, and it just so happens that my guess is a little closer." Just as Murinzu finished speaking, Lin Fan also walked out from behind the waterfall and quickly came to sit in front of them to rest. Chapter 453 Talking with Mu Hongling. "Brother Lin Fan, you are amazing. You have lasted for such a long time." After seeing Lin Fan sitting down, Murin Shan couldn't help but give Lin Fan a thumbs up and praised him. Hearing Murin Shan's words, Lin Fan smiled and said, "Not bad, but it's a pity that I still couldn't break through 2 hours the first time." "Brother Lin Fan, just now we were guessing how long you could last the first time." Murin Shan blinked and said, "Do you know who guessed the closest?" Although Murin Shan's words sounded flawless, anyone who heard them felt like they were driving. Especially the sentence, "how long you could last the first time." It was like asking Lin Fan how long he could last the first time. Of course, Murin Shan didn't realize this problem when she said it herself, but Lin Fan and the others felt this way. But everyone is a wise man, and it is definitely impossible for them to dwell on this matter, which would be too embarrassing. Lin Fan quickly asked, "How long did you all guess?" "I guessed 2 hours. Sister Hongling only guessed 1.5 hours. Sister Zihan guessed 1 hour and 40 minutes, and my sister guessed 1 hour and 50 minutes. Murin Shan glanced at Murinzu and said, "My sister's guess was the closest." Lin Fan smiled and nodded, saying, "Actually, I can still hold on for a little longer, but I probably won't be able to hold on for an hour and 55 minutes before being knocked down by the water flow, so I chose to walk down by myself." After the voice fell, Lin Fan added, "However, it must be said that the benefits of training under this waterfall are very great. The force of the water flow hitting the body is actually a good tempering for the body, which can make the body's endurance and resistance to blows stronger. This is also very important for us." What Lin Fan did not say directly was that for someone like him who has defensive attributes and can improve defensive attributes, the improvement of his own body will be more obvious under such training. This kind of obviousness is completely beyond the rest. Hearing what Lin Fan said, Mu Hongling nodded and said, "Yes, standing under the waterfall and receiving the impact of the water flow, you can definitely feel that your body has improved under this impact, and this is the first training. When the number of training times increases, the improvement will be more obvious." "Yes, that's true." Lin Fan nodded again. "We have almost rested, so the three of us will continue to train," Murinzu said and looked at Murin Shan and Li Zihan. The three of them were the first to come down from the waterfall to rest. Now, they have rested for a long time and their bodies have recovered. Lin Fan and Li Zihan naturally had no different opinions on this. They looked at each other, nodded, and without delay, they walked towards the waterfall with Lin Zhu and continued to stand in the standing area to receive the impact of the water flow. You didn't even tell me that you had broken through to the 4th level of the Evolver. I was wondering why we were all at the peak of the 3rd level of the Evolver, but you were able to stand for so long without the weight of the sandbag. I only found out after I asked them after I came out from under the waterfall. When Lin Zhu, Lin Fan and Li Zihan continued to train under the waterfall, Mu Hongling looked at Lin Fan and said helplessly. Hearing the helplessness in Mu Hongling's tone, Lin Fan also shook his head and smiled, saying, "Actually, I just broke through. I didn't want to make it public, so I didn't tell you. But I did forget to tell you about it. It's not too late to know now." Then did Instructor Chu know that you had broken through to the 4th level of the Evolver? Mu Hongling asked curiously. She mentioned it casually just now, not because she was angry or anything. After all, she had just met Lin Fan, and she didn't ask Lin Fan directly whether his strength had broken through. Lin Fan couldn't just tell her that his strength had broken through to the 4th level of the Evolver, right? If so, wouldn't it be full of boasting? From what she had known about Lin Fan during this period, Lin Fan was not the kind of person who liked to show off. Even though Lin Fan had performed the best in the first 2 weeks of training, that was just Lin Fan's normal performance, not something deliberate. In general, Lin Fan was still a very low-key person. If someone else had this kind of talent and strength, they would probably be so proud of themselves, or walk with their noses facing people. Instructor Chu knew about this, Lin Fan said with a smile, because the day after my breakthrough, Instructor Chu happened to come to me for something, and he mentioned it by the way, so I told him. He didn't want to say anything in detail about Chu Hongxiang taking him to find Dong Xianzhe. After all, this kind of thing was not that simple when it involved Dong Xianzhe. The fewer people who knew about it, the better. It was not worth publicizing it. Instructor Chu, are you very happy to know that your strength has broken through to the 4th level of Evolver? Mu Hongling asked. Haha, that's right. No matter what, our camp and Instructor Feng's camp are in competition, especially in the competition between the 2 camps. The winning camp will get a lot of rewards. My strength can break through to the 4th level of evolution. If Instructor Chu is not happy, that's really unreasonable. Lin Fan laughed loudly, mainly because he just happened to think of Chu Hongxiang's expression at that time and found it very funny. Yes, Mu Hongling nodded slightly, then frowned slightly, thinking of something, and said, by the way, before I went to find you guys that day, Li Keishu also came to find me. Li Keishu came to you? What did he want to find you? Lin Fan was a little curious about this question. He didn't expect Li Keishu to take the initiative to find Mu Hongling. It's not an important thing. He just came to me and said that although our camps are now opposite, he still wants to make friends with me, Mu Hongling said. Make friends? Lin Fan thought about it thoughtfully and asked, how did you answer? I refused. Mu Hongling shook her head and said, I always felt that he had bad intentions and didn't really want to be friends with him. Did you just refuse directly? Yes, I refused as soon as he said it. Then how did he react? Seemed a little disappointed. Okay, Lin Fan smiled and said, I guess he didn't expect that he would be rejected so cleanly. However, what I want to tell you is that when I saw him, I always felt that he was stronger than before. Mu Hongling said thoughtfully, that's right, he gave me the feeling that his overall aura was stronger than before. I don't know if this is because his strength has also broken through to the 4th level Evolver. Chapter 454 Find the Right Angle. Mu Hongling didn't know that Lin Fan had a ring that could read data. When they went out to the base to play and met Li Keishu, Lin Fan had already used the ring to read Li Keishu's data and knew that Li Keishu had become a level 4 Evolver. However, this matter itself was Lin Fan's biggest secret, and he would never tell anyone. At least, he didn't intend to tell this secret before he became the strongest person in this world. So, at this time, he still had to continue to play dumb. With your strength, if you can have this feeling when you look at Li Keishu, then his strength is almost certain to break through to the level 4 Evolver, Lin Fan said slowly. In that case, Li Keishu's talent and growth potential are still very strong. Mu Hongling nodded and said, yes, he is indeed a good genius. At this point, Lin Fan smiled jokingly and said, what are you thinking about refusing to be friends with such a genius? In fact, Lin Fan really wanted to see Li Keishu's expression when she was rejected by Mu Hongling. It was probably a very lost and confused expression. After all, Li Keishu only said that they were just ordinary friends, not boyfriend and girlfriend. Li Keishu himself would never have thought that his request to be ordinary friends would be rejected by Mu Hongling. It's a pity that there is no chance to see such a scene, otherwise it would be very funny. I didn't think much about it. Mu Hongling didn't know Lin Fan's sinister thoughts at this time. She answered seriously, although I refused to be friends with Li Keishu, I found you now, didn't I? And I became friends with you. I don't think your talent and growth potential are worse than Li Keishu. This is also the truth of Mu Hongling. She has never felt that Lin Fan is worse than Li Keishu. She has always had a deeper impression of Lin Fan. Then you can be friends with both of us. Even if you become friends with Li Keishu, it will not affect your friendship with us. Lin Fan smiled. You two are on opposite sides. Don't you mind this kind of question? Mu Hongling looked at Lin Fan curiously. That's just the opposite of the camp. If we compare it with the geniuses of other countries, then our camp and instructor Feng's camp are still one, Lin Fan said, changing his tone. Of course, this excludes the situation where Li Keishu deliberately provokes me. If he doesn't deliberately provoke me, then I won't regard him as an enemy, but if he deliberately provokes me, then he must be my enemy, not my friend, isn't that it? Mu Hongling spread her hands and said, Li Keishu clearly knows that there are contradictions between you and Qin Changquang and others, but he still resolutely lets Qin Changquang and others be his younger brothers. I think his meaning has been very clear, right? That's right. Lin Fan smiled and said, Qin Changquang and others are all jumping clowns. I have never taken them seriously. With your strength, you really don't have to take them seriously, Mu Hongling said. While Lin Fan and Mu Hongling were chatting, Chu Hongsun stood in another direction. His eyes also fell on Lin Fan from time to time. This guy is really amazing. Although he has reached the level of a 4th level evolver, he stood under the waterfall without any weights and persisted for an hour and 53 minutes. If someone else who has just broken through to the 4th level evolver were to train, it would definitely not be possible. Chu Hongsun said to himself. Even though he was a 5th level evolver, he still admired Lin Fan's strength. There was no way, as long as Lin Fan's performance was too conspicuous, he couldn't help but admire him. But this also made him very happy. After all, Lin Fan was a member of his camp. The stronger Lin Fan's performance was, the greater the chance of his side winning in the camp competition. If the camp competition won, as instructors, they could also get certain rewards. Chu Hongsun was still full of expectations for the reward given by Dong Shai and Suo. Lin Fan and Mu Hongling continued to chat for a while, and then Muring Zhu, Muring Shan, Li Zihan and Andy walked down the waterfall again. This time it was 3 minutes longer than before, which seems not bad, Muring Shan said. She was still very satisfied with her own progress. It's really good. If you improve it slowly, it won't be long before you can support it without any weight. Lin Fan glanced at Muring Shan and said with a smile. But brother Lin Fan, if you suddenly don't carry any weight, it's like losing so much weight all of a sudden. Will you be unable to support it at all? Muring Shan asked curiously. Hearing Muring Shan's question, Muring Zhu, Li Zihan and Mu Hongling also looked at Lin Fan. It was obvious that the three of them were also very curious about this question. Although the weight seems to have been reduced by several dozen kilograms, you should know that in this process, we will gradually adapt to the impact of the water flow and know what angle is the most suitable to stand to meet the impact of the water flow. Lin Fan looked towards the waterfall and said, once you find the right angle, your ability to withstand will naturally become stronger. For example, look at the person over there. The angle he is standing at now is obviously very suitable to meet the impact of the water flow. At this angle, once he is not carrying the weight of the sandbag and takes the sandbag off, he will be immediately washed down by the water flow. Hearing what Lin Fan said, Muring Zhu, Muring Shan, Li Zihan and Mu Hongling all looked at the person. As expected, they could see at a glance that the angle the person was standing at was not suitable. Even they could see this phenomenon, not to mention someone with a sharp eye like Lin Fan. It seems that we still need to keep exploring and accumulating experience, Muring Zhu said. Yes, you have to find the angle yourself. Although we are standing on the same platform and the impact of the water flow is about the same, there are still some subtle differences. The direction and size of the impact force are different depending on where you stand. You must make a clear judgment yourself, Lin Fan said. Muring Zhu, Muring Shan, Li Zihan and Mu Hongling all nodded, thinking that Lin Fan was right. Okay, I've rested enough, and it's time to continue training. You just finished training, so you can rest for a while. Lin Fan stood up and said. Brother Lin Fan, is it enough for you to rest for just a while? Murong Shan asked with concern. It's enough. I'm now a level 4 evolver, and my body's recovery ability is stronger, and the recovery speed is faster than yours. Lin Fan smiled helplessly and said, moreover, the most important thing is that as a level 4 evolver, I must train longer under this waterfall than you to achieve better results. If the training time is not as long as yours, then there will not be much effect. Chapter 455, Some Thoughts? What Lin Fan said was also true. When designing this waterfall, the base took into account the second level and third level evolvers, and did not consider the situation of the fourth level evolvers. Therefore, the height of the waterfall did not reach the height of the fourth level evolvers training. But it is not impossible for Lin Fan to train without weights. However, he must spend more time, at least twice as long as when he was still a third level evolver. Talent is important, but hard work is also important. Lin Fan has always known this truth. He never thought that if you have talent, you don't have to work hard. Lin Fan's words also touched Murong Zhu, Murong Shan, Li Zihan and Mu Hongling. Especially Mu Hongling, she now knows why the gap between her and Lin Fan is getting bigger and bigger. Because Lin Fan is not only more talented than her, but also works harder than her. She really can't accept this. After the voice fell, Lin Fan did not waste any more time, walked towards the waterfall, and soon came to the bottom of the waterfall, and continued to stand in the area under the water flow, accepting the impact of the water flow. I've rested enough, so I'll continue training. Mu Hongling continued to sit and rest for about 5 minutes, then stood up and said, saying hello to Murong Zhu, Murong Shan, and Li Zihan, and then she didn't stay any longer, and walked towards the waterfall to start training. The time during training was neither fast nor slow. When evening came, Chu Hongsun also asked all the students to stop training. Everyone, today's training has ended, and your performance is very good. After you go back, have a good rest, and gather here at 8 o'clock tomorrow morning. Chu Hongsun glanced at everyone and said loudly. He was observing everyone's performance today, and he was indeed very satisfied with everyone's performance. Even if he wanted to find fault, he couldn't seem to find any. He thought about it carefully later. Maybe these guys were all influenced by Lin Fan. With someone like Lin Fan walking in front and setting a good example, these guys would feel embarrassed even if they wanted to be lazy, and could only follow and do well. Yes, after Chu Hongsun's voice fell, everyone answered in unison without any hesitation. Okay, let's go. Chu Hongsun waved his hand and left first. After Chu Hongsun left, everyone left without wasting time. Although today's training does not require them to run all the time like rock climbing, they only need to stand under the waterfall, but this does not mean that they are not tired. For them, this is still a very exhausting training, even more exhausting than rock climbing. Therefore, they must go back and rest well. If they don't rest well, they will definitely not be able to devote themselves to tomorrow's training. If they can't devote themselves, it means that the effect of training will be greatly reduced, which is not the result they want to see. When Lin Fan and others returned to the accommodation area, Mu Hongling said as they walked, Lin Fan, this is only the first day of training. At the end, you can already hold on for 2.5 hours. It's really admirable. Yes, brother Lin Fan, you have reached this time without weights. Those of us who carry weights can't reach it. Murong Shan followed. If you stand under the weights, it will probably be 3 or 4 hours directly, right? Li Zihan said. But if we carry weights, the training effect for Lin Fan is not that good. After the three of them finished speaking, Murong Zhu spoke up. Instructor Chu asked us to start with weight training, mainly because we can't stand under the waterfall without weights, and our ultimate goal is to take down the weighted sandbags. So, it is a better choice for Lin Fan to do this step in advance. Hearing this, Lin Fan nodded and said, yes, after a few days, after you get used to it, Instructor Chu should also let you stand under the waterfall without weights for training. Moreover, it is very likely that the weight of the sandbags you carry will be reduced tomorrow. And you will reduce it a little bit every day until it is completely reduced. This is the opposite of when they did the plank support training before. When doing plank support training, the weighted sandbags are gradually increased every day. Now training under the waterfall, it is just the opposite, gradually reducing the weight of the weight every day. so that the trainees can slowly adapt. Murong Zhu, Murong Shan, Li Zihan and Mu Hongling had no reason to refute Lin Fan's words. After all, they also felt that when they went to train tomorrow, the weight of the sandbags should be reduced by Chu Hongxun. While they were talking, they returned to the accommodation area. Okay, everyone, have a good rest. Adjust your state to welcome tomorrow's training. Lin Fan glanced at Murong Zhu and others and said with a faint smile. Okay. After Lin Fan's voice fell, Murong Zhu, Murong Shan, Li Zihan and Mu Hongling all nodded in response. Then, the girls did not waste time and returned to their rooms. Lin Fan also took Andy back to the room. His eyes fell on Andy, and said to Andy, Andy, your strength is also advancing towards the 4th level of evolution. Keep working hard and strive to break through to the 4th level before the end of the base training. Andy naturally understood what Lin Fan meant. It nodded at Lin Fan and raised its claws and waved twice, obviously telling Lin Fan that it would work hard. Okay, I believe you can do it. Lin Fan smiled and said, it's getting late now. I guess you are also very tired from today's training. You should rest quickly. Andy nodded his head again, and then without delay, he walked to the bed and lay down to rest. Andy was indeed very tired from today's training. He fell asleep in less than a minute lying on the bed. Lin Fan found it a little funny. He quickly washed up and lay down on the bed to rest. However, before falling asleep, he also thought about another question, that is, what should he do after training in the space and participating in the Global Genius Competition? After participating in the Global Genius Competition, I should have a lot of fame by then. I am afraid it will be difficult to compete with the leaders for territory in China, right? Lin Fan thought helplessly. He had to rely on the platform provided by China to participate in the Global Genius Competition. After becoming famous in the Genius Competition, it seemed a bit bad to compete for territory in turn. It would be unreasonable at that time. Chapter 456. You are right. This question made Lin Fan a little distressed. He was not an ungrateful person. If Dong Xianshou treated him well, he would not have taken Dong Xianshou down. But in the Doomsday, strength is respected. Whoever is strong can become the one who makes the rules. When he thought of this, he suddenly realized it. Strength is respected, strength is respected, yes. Why didn't I realize this problem just now? Since whoever is strong can make the rules, why should I think about such a problem when my strength is not as strong as the leader? Lin Fan's eyes flashed with a ray of enlightenment. Although he will definitely become famous in one fell swoop if he participates in the Global Genius Competition, it does not mean that he has the capital to compare with Dong Xianshou. In any case, Dong Xianshou is a genuine 6th level evolver. If he becomes famous in the Global Genius Competition, he can only reach the level of a 5th level evolver at most, and it is absolutely impossible to reach the level of a 6th level evolver. Therefore, it is too far away to consider such a problem now, and there is no need to let such a problem affect his own mind. Furthermore, when he has a reputation abroad, he can also develop abroad. Anyway, the Earth has such a large area, he does not have to be limited to the country. He can go abroad to occupy a piece of land that belongs to him and build it up. When his strength grows to exceed Dong Xianshou, in that case, maybe he does not take the initiative to propose anything, Dong Xianshou will automatically come to him. After all, Dong Xianshou is also very clear that in the Doomsday time, strength is respected. His strength is stronger than Dong Xianshou, and Dong Xianshou is willing to surrender. There is no question of whether it is worth it or not, but a question of strength. In other words, Dong Xianshou has to obey or not. After thinking about this problem, Lin Fan's mouth also showed a faint smile, and then he did not bother about anything, lying on the bed and began to rest. The next morning, they got up on time, ate, and went straight to the waterfall. Chu Hongxun stood in front of all the students and glanced at the sandbags on the ground next to him. Then, he looked at all the students and said loudly, everyone, the sandbags you were given yesterday weighed 40 kilograms. After a whole day of training yesterday, I believe you should have adapted to it to a certain extent, so, today we will reduce some of the weight on your sandbags. Instructor, how much weight have you reduced for us? Someone asked curiously. Chu Hongxun stretched out 5 fingers and gestured, saying, not much, just reduce the weight of 5 kilograms, that's all. Many students smacked their lips. Isn't it a lot to reduce 5 kilograms at once? To them, it really feels like too much. Just imagine, a person who wants to lose weight loses 5 kilograms overnight. What kind of concept is that? Why? Chu Hongsun took in the expressions of the students and said, are you miserable after reducing the weight by only 5 kilograms? Then I will let you train without any sandbags later. Aren't you going to cry in front of me? No. Hearing Chu Hongsun say this, everyone cheered up and answered. Very good, this is the attitude you should have. Chu Hongsun clapped his hands, waved his hands, and said, now, carry these sandbags and continue your training today. Remember, don't be lazy, don't think about taking a rest. This is responsible for you, this is your own improvement of strength, remember. Everyone answered in unison again. Okay, let's get started, Chu Hongsun nodded. Without wasting any time, everyone went to the ground to pick up the sandbags and carry them. As for Lin Fan, he didn't need the sandbags yesterday, so he naturally didn't need them today. Brother Lin Fan, you are right. After Murong Shan carried the sandbags on his back, he walked back to Lin Fan and said with a smile. Yesterday, Lin Fan said that Chu Hongsun might take measures to reduce the weight of the sandbags for training, and Lin Fan guessed it right. Lin Fan smiled and said, today I only lost 5 pounds, maybe tomorrow I will lose 10 pounds, or even 15 pounds, I can understand losing 10 pounds, but isn't 15 pounds too much? Murong Shan opened her mouth in surprise. You'll know tomorrow. Lin Fan smiled slightly, keeping it a secret, and didn't discuss this issue with Murong Shan in detail at this time. Soon, Murong Zhu, Li Zihan and Mu Hongling also put sandbags on their backs. Of course, Andy also had a sandbag tied on his back. Okay, let's go train too, Lin Fan glanced around and said with a faint smile. Yet, Murong Zhu, Murong Shan, Li Zihan and Mu Hongling naturally had no different opinions. They nodded and walked towards the waterfall with Lin Fan to start their training today. The second day of training ended quickly. Compared with yesterday, all the students had made considerable progress, even though the weight of the sandbags had been reduced. This also inspired their confidence. They originally thought that reducing the weight of the 5 jin sandbag would greatly reduce their performance, but they did not expect that they could persist. In fact, as Lin Fan said, in the process of training, after gradually finding the right angle, the body's tolerance and adaptability will become much stronger. They went through a whole day of training yesterday. Although they did not feel it obviously, their bodies had begun to find a good angle. This is also the main reason why they were able to perform no worse than yesterday after reducing the weight of the 5 jin sandbag. After going back to rest for a night, they gathered here again at 8 o'clock on the third day. Chu Hongsun still stood in front of them, with a smile on his face, and said, not bad, very good. I saw all your performance yesterday and found that you have made great progress. According to the old rules, before the training starts today, the weight of the sandbags you carry will still be reduced a little. Instructor, is it still reduced by 5 kilograms today like yesterday? Someone else asked. Of course not. Chu Hongsun shook his head and said, I lost 5 kilograms yesterday. If I lose 5 kilograms today, it means there is no change. Do you think that I, your instructor, would be the kind of person who does not seek change? When he said this, Chu Hongsun's face seemed to have a fox-like smile. Such a smile made everyone feel uneasy. Chapter 457, Guess Again. Instructor, how much weight did we reduce on the sandbags today? Someone summoned up the courage to ask. Haha, not much, just 15 jin, Chu Hongsun said with a smile. When hearing Chu Hongsun's words, most of the students' mouths opened into an O shape, almost enough to stuff an egg in. Only 15 jin, again. Yesterday we reduced 5 jin, today we reduced 15 jin, this is completely triple the rhythm. Brother Lin Fan, you guessed too accurately. Murong Shan also opened her mouth in surprise, but she was not surprised by Chu Hongsun's words, but by Lin Fan's guess yesterday. Xiao Shan, what are you talking about? That Lin Fan guessed accurately. Murong Zhu looked at Murong Shan with her beautiful eyes. Li Zihan and Mu Hongling also turned their eyes to Murong Shan, and curiosity also appeared in their eyes. Yesterday, I put on the sandbags and discussed with Brother Lin Fan. I thought the instructor would reduce the weight of the sandbags by 10 kilograms at most today, but Brother Lin Fan said that it might be reduced by 15 kilograms. I didn't expect that. Brother Lin Fan guessed it right, Murong Shan said slowly. Hearing this, Murong Zhu, Li Zihan and Mu Hongling finally understood why Murong Shan was so surprised. However, this also made them very curious. Why did Lin Fan guess 15 kilograms? The eyes of several girls were focused on Lin Fan again. Lin Fan spread his hands helplessly and said, "It's normal actually. I'll reduce your weight by 5 kilograms on the second day just to let you get used to the feeling of reducing the weight and see how you perform after reducing the weight by 5 kilograms. Obviously, your performance yesterday was very good, perhaps far beyond Instructor Chu's expectations, so Instructor Chu decided to reduce your weight by 15 kilograms today. You know, the sandbags you carry weigh 40 kilograms. If you only reduce your weight by 5 kilograms every day, it will take a full 8 days to reduce it to 0, and that's excluding the first day, and our training time under the waterfall is probably only 1 week, so we don't have 8 days to spare. So, I think the instructor should want to end this heavy-duty behavior in the first 4 days. The first day was a full 40 kilograms of sandbags, and the second day reduced it by 5 kilograms, making it 35 kilograms. On the third day, which is today, it was reduced by 15 kilograms, becoming 20 kilograms, if nothing goes wrong, after today's training. On the fourth day, they will only have 5 kilograms of weight left. It is even possible that you will not have to carry any sandbags tomorrow after all the weight is reduced. Only in this way can we maximize our strength within a week. This should be the instructor's final plan. After hearing what Lin Fan said, although it was not clear whether what Lin Fan said would become a fact, they all felt that Lin Fan was right and they could not find any point to refute. Okay, classmates, don't waste time. Put on your sandbags and continue training. Chu Hongsun glanced at everyone and urged them. Everyone did not dare to delay and immediately put on the sandbags weighing only 20 kilograms and went to the bottom of the waterfall for training. Suddenly, they lost so much weight. When they first stood under the waterfall to withstand the impact of the water flow, they were naturally a little uncomfortable. Many people stood up and fell down after standing for a few minutes. But this is a very normal situation. There is no need to doubt whether the student's strength is not enough. They just need to readjust their angles to adapt. Soon, the students who were washed down returned to the standing area and gradually began to find a good standing angle. The time they could hold on was undoubtedly increased a lot. The third day of training ended unknowingly. Lin Fan and others returned to the accommodation area to rest again. When the sun rose on the fourth day, they came to the waterfall again. In their sight, Chu Hongsun stood alone in front with his hands behind his back. Originally, there would be sandbags next to Chu Hongsun. However, today, next to Chu Hongsun, there was nothing. Not to mention seeing a sandbag, there was not even a shadow of half a sandbag. Seeing this scene, some students have not reacted yet and discussed in a low voice. Haven't we prepared the sandbags for today yet? I guess so, but preparing sandbags is quick. Someone will bring them over soon. We only had 20 kilograms of weight yesterday. I guess we will only have 10 kilograms today. Yes, I think so too. After today, we should be able to train without sandbags tomorrow. Although the voices of these people were very low, in front of a level 5 evolver like Chu Hongsun, there was obviously no question of whether they could hear or not. In such a close distance, even if they spoke in a low voice, as long as they were still talking to each other, Chu Hongsun would hear them clearly. Hearing these voices, Chu Hongsun smiled faintly and said loudly, "Everyone, do you think the sandbags for today have not been brought over yet?" When Chu Hongsun said this, many students had a bad idea in their hearts. Chu Hongsun did not ask them to answer this question. After he finished speaking, he continued, "I can tell you clearly now that we do not plan to arrange sandbags for you today." What? No sandbags? In other words, we are going to train without weights. This is too fast. We were reduced by 20 kilograms in one go. It's a huge reduction. Yes, it's only the fourth day, and we are not allowed to carry weights. We are standing under the waterfall. I'm afraid we will be washed down in an instant. Right, we will definitely be washed down. After all, we will not have 20 kilograms of weight in an instant. What does 20 kilograms mean? That's not the case. 20 kilograms of meat is a big piece. Everyone soon started a heated discussion. After all, they just thought that they would reduce their weight by 10 kilograms at most, and let them stand under the waterfall to train without weights until tomorrow. Unexpectedly, Chu Hongsun removed the sandbags for them today. This was really beyond their expectations and guesses. Murin Shen opened her mouth in surprise again, looked at Lin Fan, and said, "Brother Lin Fan, you really understand Instructor Chu's thoughts? You actually guessed it right again." Chapter 458. No wait. Murin Shen really couldn't help but be surprised. Lin Fan had always guessed Chu Hongsun's thoughts and arrangements. She already admired him very much? Of course, she was not the only one who admired him. Murenzhu, Li Zihan and Mu Hongling also admired him very much. Because they didn't dare to guess Chu Hongsun's thoughts in this way, but Lin Fan's bold guess was accurate. Lin Fan reached out and touched Murenshan's head, and said, "This is the only way to achieve the maximum training effect. After all, with the accumulation of the previous 3 days, today, even if you don't carry the sandbags, you will definitely be able to bear it." "Brother Lin Fan, how do you know we can bear it?" Murenshan asked curiously again. "I have also observed your performance in the past 3 days, Lin Fan smiled again, then looked towards Chu Hongsun and said, "Moreover, you have to believe that when it comes to training, Instructor Chu's vision is more ruthless and professional than ours. Even I can infer from your performance in the past 3 days that you can withstand it today without the weighted sandbags, not to mention Instructor Chu, who makes a more accurate judgment." In terms of competitive training, Lin Fan really felt that he was not as good as Chu Hongsun. In any case, before the outbreak of the Doomsday, Chu Hongsun had always been a leader in the army, and he was the kind of person who led countless subordinates. With such a person, there are not many people who can compare with him in terms of training experience. Lin Fan's strengths are not this, and it is completely normal that he cannot compare with Chu Hongsun. Hearing Lin Fan say this, Murenshan nodded in sudden realization and said, "Although I don't know how long I can last under the waterfall without weights, I also want to try without weights." "Well, don't have any psychological pressure. With the accumulation of the previous 3 days, I can definitely do it today. It's nothing more than a matter of time. In short, just do your best to perform well," Lin Fan said with a smile. "Okay, Brother Lin Fan, I will definitely do my best to perform well," Murenshan nodded seriously. Chu Hongsun did not give everyone more time to relax. He said loudly, "Okay, stop complaining and just listen to my arrangements. There will be no sandbags for you to bear today. Let's start training now. Those who are washed down, those who can hold on, stand back and continue to hold on. Those who can't hold on should take a proper rest for a while. Don't rest until your physical strength is fully recovered. You can go again when you have recovered 70% or 80%. This is how you have to keep squeezing your potential. Grit your teeth and hold on. When you finish this week's training, you will find that your strength has been improved again. Especially for some students who are at the peak of the second level evolvers, well, I think that after you complete the waterfall training, your strength may be able to cross that threshold and enter the level of the third level evolvers." Chu Hongsun's words simply gave the students a shot of chicken blood. Originally, they were still complaining about the lack of sandbags for weight bearing, but at this time, the voices of complaints quickly disappeared. Their eyes seemed to reveal endless fighting spirit. The waterfall was their enemy. What they had to do now was to conquer the enemy and let the enemy know that they were not so easily defeated. "Everyone, let's start training," Chu Hongsun waved his hand and announced. "Yes," everyone answered in unison. Then, without wasting any more time, they began to walk under the waterfall and stood in the area where they should stand. Crash! Crash! The water not only hit their bodies. Suddenly, there was no weight on the sandbags. They had not yet adapted to it. Many students who stood up only lasted for more than 10 seconds or even a few seconds before being washed down by the water. However, after being washed down, they did not lose confidence. They were still in a state of high morale. They immediately climbed up from the water and continued to train in the standing area. As Lin Fan guessed, when there was no weight at the beginning, perhaps many people were not used to it, but anyway, they had the accumulation of the previous 3 days. The accumulation of those 3 days was very important and would allow their bodies to quickly find the angle of adaptation. After finding the right angle, they will naturally be able to hold out longer. Of course, no matter how long they hold out, it is impossible to compare with Lin Fan. Murenzhu, Murenshan and Li Zihan, without weights, held out for a few minutes the first time before being washed down by the water. The 3 of them climbed back and continued to train, and the second time they held out for 10 minutes. The 3 of them felt that they still had strength, so they climbed back again, and the third time they held out for 15 minutes. At this point, the 3 of them had already consumed a lot of their strength, and at this time, Mu Hongling was unable to hold out. Although this was the first time that Mu Hongling was washed down by the water without weights, for Mu Hongling, this had already consumed most of her strength, and she had to rest and recover. Therefore, the 4 girls and Andy walked out of the waterfall together, sat on the ground outside and began to rest. Although the time I held out without the sandbag weight was short, I feel that the improvement effect seems to be really obvious. Murin Sham couldn't help but say. Yes, I feel the same way. Li Zihan nodded and continued, no wonder Instructor Chu asked us to train without the weighted sandbags today. I guess this is the conclusion they came to after many tests. It must have been tested. If it hadn't been tested, they wouldn't have let us train, Murinzu said. They were right. Any training project in this training base had been tested many times before they were called here. Moreover, the people who participated in the test were Da Shuang, Xiao Tu and others. While talking, their eyes also looked at Lin Fan. At the end of yesterday, Lin Fan could last for 3.5 hours. I wonder how much he can improve today, Mu Hongling said. Today, Murin Shan tilted her head and thought for a while, and said, I guess brother Lin Fan should be able to last 4 hours today. 4 hours? It should be about the same, Murinzu said. Murinzu's guess about Lin Fan was similar to Lin Fan's guess about Chu Hongsun's mind, and both were relatively accurate. Murinzu had been guessing for 4 hours, and Li Zihan and Mu Hongling also agreed. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelis. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 459. Can it be 7 hours? Facts have proved that Murinzu's guess was indeed correct. At the end of the 4th day, Lin Fan had indeed persisted under the waterfall for a full 4 hours. 4 hours, for many people, is simply a place that they can only look up to. Without weight today, many people gritted their teeth to persist for 40 minutes, let alone 4 hours. He can persist for 4 hours on the 4th day. This little guy, by the 7th day, he can probably persist for 6 hours, right? Chu Hongsun watched Lin Fan walk out from under the waterfall and couldn't help but guess secretly. In his opinion, Lin Fan's ability to persist for 4 hours under the waterfall, especially at this stage of training on the 4th day, is already very, very good, at least beyond his expectations. So, he also made a bold guess that by the 7th day, Lin Fan should be able to persist for about 6 hours. You know, they used people with the peak strength of the 3rd level evolvers to test it before, and on the 7th day, they only persisted for 2.5 hours at most. Although Lin Fan is not at the peak strength of the 3rd level evolver, but has become a 4th level evolver, he has just become one after all, and it has not been a long time. In this case, being able to hold on for 6 hours can be considered a very amazing existence. Soon, Chu Hongsun gathered the students together. He glanced at everyone and said with a smile, when I asked you to train without weights today, many of you felt that you were not able to do it. Now that you have finished training, do you think you can do it again? Haha. As soon as Chu Hongsun finished speaking, a burst of laughter spread, and everyone was amused by Chu Hongsun's words. This reminded them of the sentence, the sky is clear, the rain has stopped, and I feel that I can do it again. Chu Hongsun himself also laughed and continued, I can tell you very clearly that the training conducted here has been tested by us, and I didn't ask you to do it casually on a whim, so, you don't need to worry about anything. I asked you to do this, which means you can do it. Thank you, instructor. Everyone thanked him in unison. Don't just say thank you, it's better to thank me with actual actions. I just hope to see your strength improve faster and faster, that's the best way to thank me, Chu Hongsun said, looking up at the sky. Okay, it's getting late, today's training ends here, as I said, go back and have a good rest, adjust your condition, and see you tomorrow at 8 o'clock. Chu Hongsun left here first after he finished speaking. After he left, the trainees also left and returned to the accommodation area. After a whole day of training, it was really tiring for them. There are still 3 days of waterfall training to come, and they all have to stay in peak condition to cope with it. Let's go back and rest. Lin Fan looked at Murinzu and the others and said with a smile. In the next 3 days, everyone carried out training step by step. Especially on the afternoon of the last day, most of the people's minds were focused on Lin Fan. Because they were all curious about how long Lin Fan could last. From noon, Lin Fan stood under the waterfall to accept the impact of the water flow. It is now 5 o'clock in the afternoon, which means that Lin Fan has persisted for a full 5 hours. It's been 5 hours. How long do you think he can persist? I estimate that he can persist for 6 hours. Looking at his current state, there is no problem for him to persist for another hour, right? It's hard to say. After all, the longer he persists, the stronger he will be in the future. That's right, 6 hours. It's really scary to think about it. I can only persist for an hour at most. If he can persist for 6 hours, that's 6 times as long as I can. The gap is really too big. If there is not such a big gap, then he is not Lin Fan. Haha, I just said that. How can I really compare myself with him? Would that be overestimating my own abilities? Everyone's eyes were focused on Lin Fan, and they started discussing. Chu Hongxun's eyes were also fixed on Lin Fan. It can be said that his curiosity was no less than anyone else present. Time passed slowly, and soon another hour passed. It's been 6 hours, and this little guy seems to be able to continue to persist. Chu Hongxun's eyes flashed with surprise. In his opinion, Lin Fan's persistence for 6 hours was already very good. Unexpectedly, Lin Fan was not washed down by the water after 6 hours, and was still standing steadily in that area. What does this mean? It means that his guess was wrong, and it also means that Lin Fan can continue to persist. Of course, he hopes to see Lin Fan persist as long as possible, so that it can be said that Lin Fan's strength has improved a lot. Fuck. 6 hours, still standing there, not even a sway in the body. Is he going to sprint towards 7 hours? Although he can persist for 6 hours, it is completely beyond my imagination, but I still don't think he can persist for 7 hours. Yes, after the time reaches 6 hours, the pressure on every minute thereafter is very great. How can it be so easy to persist for 7 hours? Just wait and see, you will know. Lin Fan persisted for 6 hours. For him, it didn't have much impact, but for the people watching outside, it simply caused waves of excitement. The students who were watching were much more excited than Lin Fan himself. If Chu Hongxun had not forbidden them to gamble, they would definitely have been unable to resist. However, since Chu Hongxun did not allow them to gamble, they could only talk about it. They did not want to bear Chu Hongxun's punishment at this time. Sister, do you think brother Lin Fan can hold on for 7 hours? Muren Shan's beautiful eyes stayed on Lin Fan for a while, then she retracted her gaze and looked at Muren Zhu who was sitting next to her, asking curiously. Hearing Muren Shan's question, Li Zihan and Mu Hongling also turned their eyes to Muren Zhu. They now believed Muren Zhu's guess about Lin Fan, so they were too lazy to guess and just listened to Muren Zhu's guess. 7 hours, Muren Zhu said, then thought about it carefully, and then nodded and said, I think he should be able to hold on. Chapter 467 Hours. Muren Zhu's guess about Lin Fan was based on her confidence in Lin Fan's strength and her familiarity with his character. She knew that Lin Fan always had a habit of keeping things to himself. In the past few days, she had paid attention to the changes in Lin Fan's time. In her opinion, 6 hours could not be Lin Fan's limit. According to Lin Fan's previous style, he would have to add at least 1 hour to the 6 hours, which means he could reach 7 hours. Sister, if you said that brother Lin Fan could hold on for 7 hours, then brother Lin Fan could definitely hold on for 7 hours. Muren Sham shook her little hand, full of confidence in Muren Zhu's guess. Let's see, Muren Zhu nodded. Time continued to pass, and 55 minutes passed again. Damn. It's been 6 hours and 55 minutes. Judging from the trend, he can definitely last 7 hours. His body has begun to shake. Even if he can't last 7 hours, this time is no different from 7 hours. Yes, it's just a few minutes difference. It's not that important at all. I still want to see how long he can last. Nonsense. This is not what you want to see, but the result we all want to know. The voices of the crowd's discussion spread again. Their eyes were staring at Lin Fan without blinking, just wanting to see how long Lin Fan could last, and when Lin Fan would be washed down by the water. 6 hours and 56 minutes. 6 hours and 57 minutes. 6 hours and 58 minutes. 6 hours and 59 minutes. 7 hours. When the time reached 7 hours, Lin Fan gave up and walked down from the standing area. Because he knew very well that this was the limit he could reach. Even if he was asked to hold on for another half a minute, he couldn't hold on. 7 hours, he really lasted exactly 7 hours. That's amazing. I think his strength must have reached the level of a 4th level evolver. If he hadn't reached the level of a 4th level evolver, how could he have lasted so long? Yes, he should have reached the level of a 4th level evolver. You know, Mu Hongling is also at the peak of a 3rd level evolver, And Muhongling only lasted 3.5 hours. Yeah, one is 3.5 hours, the other is 7 hours, a full double difference? This is definitely not a gap that two people of the same level of strength can open up. So, there is a fourth level evolver in our camp. Keep a low profile, don't show off, when the two camps compete. Lin Fan's strength will be revealed. It will definitely surprise the people in Instructor Feng's camp. Haha, that's a must. From the voices of everyone's discussion, you can feel the joy. Because now they all understand one thing, that is, in the matter of the competition between the two camps, they are absolutely on the same front. The better Lin Fan performed, the greater the chance of their side winning in the competition between the two camps, and the higher their chance of getting the reward. They were also very curious about the mysterious reward. Although there was no doubt that Lin Fan's reward was the biggest and best, they would not be jealous of anything. After all, they still had to rely on Lin Fan to lead them to get it. At this time, most of them began to believe that Lin Fan's strength was not still at the level of a third-level evolver, but believed that Lin Fan had become a fourth-level evolver. Otherwise, it would be impossible to open such a big gap between him and Muhongling. It must be said that these guys' analytical ability is not bad, and they can think of this level. 7 hours, this little guy, really opened my eyes. If Brother Duong knew that he could last 7 hours under the waterfall, he would probably be surprised. Chu Hongxuan fixed his eyes on Lin Fan and thought secretly in his heart. He had only guessed that Lin Fan could last for 6 hours before, and never thought that Lin Fan could last for 7 hours. This was completely beyond his expectations. However, he will still go to Dong Xian's Ho tomorrow to report the results of Lin Fan and others' third week of training. At that time, he will know Dong Xian's Ho's reaction. After Lin Fan walked out of the waterfall, Chu Hongxuan said, "The third week of training has ended. I believe you have all improved significantly. After returning tonight, those who are at the peak of the second-level evolvers should seize the opportunity and strive to break through to become third-level evolvers. In addition, tomorrow is a day of rest. You can still go to the base area to play. As long as you return to the base before 10 o'clock in the evening, I will count and register at the gate of the base. Don't hold on to your luck." "Okay, I've said everything I should say. Let's go." After speaking, Chu Hongxuan came to Lin Fan, patted Lin Fan on the shoulder, and praised him. "Lin Fan, you did a good job. Keep up the good work." After the voice fell, Chu Hongxuan did not delay any further and turned around and left. After Chu Hongxuan's back disappeared in this area, many colleges began to leave one after another. However, most of the people expressed their admiration for Lin Fan when they left. There was no way they could not be surprised by Lin Fan's performance. "Brother Lin Fan, you can hold on for 7 hours, Muren Shan praised immediately. "Yes, I really didn't expect you to hold on for so long," Mu Hongling also said. Although Muren Zhu and Li Zihun did not speak at this time, from the look in their eyes when they looked at Lin Fan, they could already feel that they were full of admiration for Lin Fan. Lin Fan smiled and shook his head, saying, "This is also done with all my strength, then let's go back and rest now. Today must be very exhausting for you." Muren Zhu could hear the sense of fatigue in Lin Fan's tone, and couldn't help but say with some heartache. She naturally didn't want Lin Fan to be exhausted. "Well, today's consumption is indeed very large, you need to rest well," Lin Fan nodded. The group did not delay here any longer, and quickly walked back to the accommodation area. Then, each of them went back to the room to rest. Lin Fan and Andy walked into the room. He said something to Andy, washed up, and then lay down on the bed and fell asleep. Such a huge consumption was not easy for him, but fortunately he could recover after a night's rest. Chapter 461 Just have confidence. It has been more than 20 days since we came to the training base. After 3 weeks of super training, many students have greatly improved their strength. Muren Zhu, Muren Shan and Li Zihan are no exception. After a night's sleep, the next morning, when Lin Fan and the others gathered together, Muren Shan said happily, "Brother Lin Fan, I feel that my strength has become stronger again." While speaking, she clenched her fist and punched the air, meaning to let Lin Fan hear the sound of her punch. After all, she didn't know that Lin Fan had a ring that could read data. "Read," Lin Fan said in his heart. Species, human level, level 3 strength. 14 speed. 14 reaction. 14 ability, sharpshooter, primary. Muren Shan's data information appeared clearly in Lin Fan's sight. It has improved to 14. It seems that it has improved very quickly, Lin Fan smiled in his heart. After reading Muren Shan's data, He used the ring to read Murinzu and Li Zihan's data and found that their data had also improved significantly. Especially Li Zihan, who has reached the peak of the 3rd level evolver. After a period of time, he should be able to make a breakthrough and become a 4th level evolver. Of course, this requires a certain opportunity. As for how much time it will take to achieve it, Lin Fan is not easy to judge. After all, the influencing factors are not one-sided. Not bad, not bad. I hope that before we leave this training base, our strength can fully enter the level of the 4th level evolver. Lin Fan stopped using the ring to read and pretended to be nonchalant. These words also touched Murinzu and others. They naturally yearned for the strength of the 4th level evolver. Brother Lin Fan, don't worry. Our strength can definitely be upgraded to the 4th level evolver before we leave this training base. I have absolute confidence, Murin Shan said confidently. It's good to have confidence. Lin Fan nodded in agreement and said, after you have confidence, all you have to do is work hard. As long as you work hard, everything will have a chance. Yeah, Murinzu and others also nodded. They followed Lin Fan, and apart from their talent, the most important thing they learned from him was the word hard work. Because Lin Fan was indeed very hardworking, much more hardworking than they were. They all saw this. When Lin Fan and his friends were talking and walking out of the base, Li Keishu, Qin Shangquang and others followed them out. On this day off, they also wanted to go out of the base and didn't want to be bored in the base. Brother Keishu, that Mu Hongling seems to be hanging out with Lin Fan and his friends. Qin Shangquang looked forward and naturally noticed the figures of Lin Fan and his friends, and then quickly locked onto Mu Hongling. Hearing this, Li Keishu also looked in the direction Qin Shangquang was looking, and indeed saw Mu Hongling staying with Lin Fan and his friends. At this moment, he felt extremely unhappy. It didn't matter that Mu Hongling refused to be friends with him. After all, it was his first time to contact Mu Hongling, and it was normal for Mu Hongling to resist. But now it seems that Mu Hongling not only refused to be friends with him, but also became friends with Lin Fan and others. Isn't this clearly showing that she doesn't give him face? Brother Keishu, we are going to go outside the base anyway, and there are no instructors watching us anymore. Should we go outside to cause trouble for that kid Lin Fan? Qin Shangquang could naturally see that Li Keishu was in a bad mood at the moment, and he couldn't help but say something in a way that was a bit fanning the flames of evil. He knew very well that Li Keishu had become a 4th level evolver, and was almost strong enough to fight against Lin Fan. He also wanted to provoke Li Keishu to cause trouble for Lin Fan, so as to understand how strong Lin Fan was. He had never forgotten the previous hatred, and had always wanted to find a chance to take revenge. Unfortunately, Li Keishu was not a fool. Although he was very angry, he would not be so impulsive as to cause trouble for Lin Fan. Soon, Li Shui took a deep breath, calmed down and said, although the instructor did not go out with us, you have to know that there are people patrolling outside at all times. If they find that there is a conflict between our students, they will definitely intervene and report it to the instructor. We will all be severely punished, even if we are not expelled. That kind of punishment will be very embarrassing, don't you think? Yes, Brother Chu Shui is right. I was abrupt just now and didn't think about this. Qin Shangquang nodded quickly. He would not go against Li Shui now. Whatever Li Shui said was it, and he just had to comply. Well, the two instructors must have already greeted the patrolling people outside. It can be said that our every move outside is under their surveillance. As long as we have a conflict with Lin Fan and others, the two instructors will definitely know about it. There is no doubt about it. Li Keishu stared at Lin Fan's back and continued, don't worry about it now. I have already found out from Instructor Feng that the training next week will not be in this base, but outside. I should be able to find an opportunity then. Hearing what Li Keishu said, Qin Shangquang was stunned. We are going to train outside next week. Yes, we have almost finished the training of the projects in the base. Next week, we will arrange field training for us. Then the instructors won't be able to keep an eye on us all the time, Li Keishu said. That's great. As long as the instructors can't keep an eye on us at all times, we will definitely have a chance to attack them, Qin Shangquang said a little excitedly. He knew very well that he couldn't beat Lin Fan in a one-on-one challenge, but if Li Keishu was added, the situation might not be certain. I just learned about this news, too. Don't leak it out for now, lest if there is no field training, it will be hard to explain to Instructor Feng, Li Keishu warned in a serious tone. Okay, Brother Keishu, don't worry, I will definitely keep this news a secret and will not tell anyone else, including my brother, Qin Shangquan patted his chest and assured. That's good, Li Keishu nodded with satisfaction and said, okay, let's go out, take a walk outside, and have a good rest for a day, otherwise we will start a new week of training tomorrow. Yes, Qin Shangquan replied. Chapter 462 Never doubted. On a day of rest, time naturally passed quickly. On this day, Chu Hongxuan did not go to see Dong Xianzhou in the morning, but waited until the afternoon when it was almost evening. In the office, Chu Hongxuan and Dong Xianzhou sat opposite each other. Brother Dong, I will report on the training situation of the third week, Chu Hongxuan said. Okay, you tell me, Dong Xianzhou smiled and nodded. Chu Hongxuan quickly told the situation of the other students. After hearing Chu Hongxuan's talk about the other students, Dong Xianzhou took the initiative to ask, Lin Fan is the highlight again, right? Yes, Chu Hongxuan also nodded. However, he did not say it directly, but kept it a secret and said, Brother Dong, guess how long Lin Fan stood under the waterfall without any weight? Hearing this, Dong Xianzhou frowned and thought about it. After about 5 or 6 seconds, he said, is it 6.5 hours? Yes, more than, Chu Hongxuan said. Oh? More than 6.5 hours, Dong Xianzhou was obviously a little surprised. He guessed 6.5 hours, which he thought was a very generous guess. He didn't expect Lin Fan to exceed such a long time. Then, he guessed again, what about 6 hours and 40 minutes, it still exceeded, Chu Hongxuan said. 6 hours and 50 minutes, Dong Xianzhou guessed again. It still exceeded, Chu Hongxuan replied. 7 hours, Dong Xianzhou said. Yes, Chu Hongxuan nodded heavily and said, no more, no less, exactly 7 hours. Dong Xianzhou's face was obviously surprised, and his tone was full of surprise as he said, 7 hours, he can actually hold on under the waterfall for 7 hours. If I remember correctly, his strength seems to have just broken through to the 4th level of evolution, right? Yes, Brother Dong, it was the night before I brought him to see you last week that his strength made a breakthrough, Chu Hongxuan said. Then this time is a bit too good, Dong Xianzhou pondered. I think it's awesome too, Chu Hongxuan nodded and said, I had guessed that he could only hold on for 6 hours at most, but who knew that he held on for an extra hour, a full 7 hours. If I hadn't seen it with my own eyes, I wouldn't have believed it. What Chu Hongxuan said was also true. If he hadn't seen it with his own eyes, he would never have believed that a person who had just broken through to the 4th level of evolution could hold on for 7 hours under that waterfall without carrying any weight. After all, this is not a simple and easy thing, but a thing full of difficult challenges. Thinking of this, Chu Hongxuan was also a little amazed at this moment. Lin Fan, this little guy, is really a talent, Dong Xianzhou sighed from the bottom of his heart. He is indeed a talent. I think that as long as there is no accident, Lin Fan will continue to grow and will definitely be able to compete with the world's top talents, Chu Hongxuan said firmly. Yes, judging from the talent and growth potential he has shown now, he does have such capital, Dong Xianzhou expressed his approval. He also believed that Lin Fan's talent and growth potential are limitless. By the way, Brother Dong, in addition to reporting on the third week of training, I have one more thing to tell you, Chu Hongxuan said. What is it? Just tell me, Dong Xianzhou said. It's about the 4th week of training, and even the training after that. I have discussed with Lao Feng and plan to arrange it for the trainees in the wild, Chu Hongxuan said. Out in the wild, Dong Xianzhou muttered. I feel that their training in the base is almost complete, and has almost reached the limit of this stage. Continuing to train in the base will not improve them much, moreover, their actual combat experience also needs to be continuously improved. The most important thing is that I heard from our people that there are a large number of zombies gathering around Luocheng, and it is very likely that a certain scale of zombie tide will appear in Luocheng. So, what Lao Feng and I want to do is to arrange the students to Luocheng, let them face the zombie tide, and train and improve in the zombie tide. Chu Hongxuan's eyes showed a firm look, and then he changed his tone and said, but we are also worried that you, Brother Dong, will not agree to such a risky plan. So we came to discuss it with you first to see what you think. The doomsday has been going on for such a long time, and they have some understanding of many behaviors of zombies, such as the formation of zombie tides. They have almost summed up certain experiences and know when the zombie tide will break out, and which city the zombie tide will surround. The Luochang he mentioned just now is about 300 to 400 kilometers away from the training base. Before the doomsday, Los Angeles was a third-tier city. However, the population of this third-tier city is not small at all, with a permanent population of 7 to 8 million, and when the flow of people is large, it can even exceed 10 million. Their people have monitored that there is at least a 95% chance that a zombie tide will break out in Los Angeles in the next period of time. Therefore, he and Feng can't both want to use this zombie tide to let the students conduct outdoor survival training. If they can survive such a zombie tide, then there is no doubt that it is enough to prove that the students' outdoor survival ability and actual combat ability are very strong. And such training is also very effective for improving the strength of the students. After all, the students have been training in the base for 3 weeks, but these 3 weeks have been normal training, without fighting or anything like that. It is time for them to go out and stretch their muscles. Hongsun, since I have handed the training base over to you and can't, it means that I have complete trust in you too. Regarding the training base, you can arrange it however you want. I will not ask or interfere. You just need to report the results to me after each training, because I believe you will not let me down. Dong Xianzhuo looked at Chu Hongsun and said seriously. Hearing what Dong Xianzhuo said, Chu Hongsun was also somewhat moved. He did not expect that Dong Xianzhuo trusted him and Feng Kent so much. Okay, brother Dong, don't worry. Old Feng and I will not let you down, Chu Hongsun said solemnly. I have never doubted this. Dong Xianzhuo smiled slightly and said, as for what you said about arranging students to go to Los Angeles for training and let them experience the zombie tide, I personally think there is nothing wrong. The world of Doomsday is full of dangers everywhere. If we don't let them experience the coming of danger, it would be a shame for the training we arranged for them. Don't you think this is the truth? Chapter 463, Adventurous. That's right, brother Dong, Chu Hongsun nodded. However, for something like this that involves life-threatening situations, the right to choose can still be handed over to them. Since they make the choice themselves, those who are willing to participate can participate, and those who are not willing to participate can forget it, Dong Xianzhuo said in a deep voice. Anyway, they are all good sons and daughters of our country. Only when they continue to grow and become stronger can our country become stronger. Let's see if they have that kind of adventurous spirit. Anyway, don't force them to make a choice, brother Dong. I know this, including when I asked them to do rock climbing training before. I also told them that rock climbing training is very dangerous. If they fall down without paying attention, they may be seriously injured or even die. Let them choose to continue to participate or give up and go home, but they all chose to continue to participate. I am also very pleased about this, Chu Hongsun said. Yes, this at least shows that they are still very adventurous here, Dong Xianzhuo nodded. The two continued to talk for a while, and Chu Hongsun stood up and said, Brother Dong, it's getting late, so I'll go back first. I have to count the number of people at the gate of the base at 10 o'clock, okay, go back. Come to me as soon as you have any situation. Dong Xianzhuo waved his hand. Yes, Chu Hongsun nodded and replied, then without wasting any more time, he got up and walked out of the office and returned to the base. After Chu Hongsun left, Dong Xianzhuo did not continue to sit on the sofa, but came to the window. He looked at the sky outside the window and whispered, Lin Fan, whether our country can become famous in the global genius competition depends on you. In Feng Kang's camp, although Li Keishu's strength is also very good, Dong Xianzhuo knows very well that Li Keishu's strength is not as good as Lin Fan. If he wants to rely on Li Keishu to get good results in the global genius competition, it can be said that it is quite difficult. He did not place his hopes on Li Keishu, but on Lin Fan, wanting to see what kind of ranking Lin Fan could get in the global talent competition. Chu Hongsun naturally did not know that Dong Xianzhuo had thought so much about such a long-term thing. After leaving Dong Xianzhuo's residence, he drove straight back to the base. An hour later, his car drove into the gate of the base. As expected, he saw Feng Kang at the gate of the base. Old Chu, where have you been? Feng Kang asked when he saw Chu Hongsun's car. I just went to Brother Dong's place. Wait for me to park the car and then come back to tell you, Chu Hongsun greeted, then drove to park the car, and then walked back. Anyway, the two of them had to wait here for the students to return to the base from outside. I have already reported to Brother Dong about our arrangement for the students to go to Luochang for training. Chu Hongsun looked at Feng Kang and said slowly. What did Brother Dong say? Feng Kang asked curiously. When the two of them discussed this matter, they had agreed that Chu Hongsun would report it, so he was still very curious about Dong Xianzhuo's response. Brother Dong said that when he handed the training base to the two of us, he completely trusted us. The arrangement of the training base is up to us two to decide. We just need to do what needs to be done. We just need to report the training results to him, Chu Hongsun said. Did Brother Dong really say that? Feng Kang was a little surprised. Is this true? Chu Hongsun glared at Feng Kang unhappily and said, if you don't believe it, you can go ask Brother Dong in person. I believe it. How could I not believe it? I was just teasing you just now. Feng Kang laughed, and it can be seen that he was in a good mood. After all, Dong Xianzhuo is the strongest person in this country. To be able to get the absolute trust of the strongest person is naturally a very good answer for them. While Chu Hongsun and Feng Kang were talking, the students who went out to play also began to return to the base one after another. The two of them were still the same as before, one on the left side of the base gate and the other on the right side of the base gate, counting the returning students. Facts have proved that the trainees are still very conscious. No one deliberately stayed outside or delayed. All returned to the base on time. Lin Fan, Murengzhu, Murengshan, Li Zihan, Mu Hongling and Andy walked back to the accommodation building. Lin Fan looked at Murengzhu and the others and said with a smile, we had a lot of fun outside today. Everyone should have a good rest. The 4th week of training will start tomorrow. I don't know what the 4th week of training is, Murengshan asked curiously. This question was also curious to Mu Hongling and the others. Don't look at me. I don't know what training will be arranged for us. Lin Fan shook his head helplessly, and then changed his tone and said, however, it is worth mentioning that the training items in this base should have been trained by us. If my estimate is correct, then next, we may be arranged to train outside. After hearing what Lin Fan said, Murengzhu frowned and said, training outside? In other words, it is very likely that we will go to the field for training. It's possible. Lin Fan nodded. Yes, I remember that Big Bear and Little Rabbit or someone else said that we came here not only to stay in the base for training, but also to go out for training. After all, the improvement of survival and combat capabilities is also very important, Murengshan said. Well, that's it. Lin Fan smiled and said, let's not think too much about it now. Anyway, after a good night's sleep, we will know what the 4th week of training is tomorrow morning. Now everyone go back to rest, adjust your mental state, so that no matter what the 4th week of training is, you can greet it in the best state, okay? Murengzhu, Murengshan, Li Zihan and Mu Hongling naturally had no different opinions on Lin Fan's words. They looked at each other and nodded. They didn't delay any more and returned to their rooms to rest. Lin Fan also took Andy back to the room and said to Andy, Andy, rest quickly. Andy nodded his head, walked to the bed, lay down and closed his eyes to rest. Lin Fan went to wash up simply and returned to the bed to rest. The next morning, after they got up, washed, packed up, ate something, and then went to the big square together. As expected, they saw Chu Hongsun already standing there waiting for them. Chapter 464 Going Out for Training. Chu Hongsun glanced at everyone, and then said loudly, Dear students, today will start your 4th week of training. Are you looking forward to what kind of training will be arranged for you in the 4th week? Yes, everyone answered in unison. This is not because they agree with Chu Hongsun or flatter Chu Hongsun, but because they think so in their hearts, and they are indeed very curious about their 4th week of training. Chu Hongsun was naturally not surprised at all by everyone's answers. He smiled and said, Then I can tell you very clearly now that your 4th week of training will not continue to stay in this base, but let you train outside. What? Train outside? That's great. Yes, we haven't killed zombies for a long time. I miss the feeling of killing zombies. I guess this is also for us to conduct some practical training. It is impossible for us to stay in the base for training all the time, right? Yes, that must be the case, everyone discussed excitedly. Before they came to this base, maybe they didn't kill zombies for a day or a few days, but they definitely didn't go 3 weeks without killing a zombie like before. Even if they went to play outside the base, the zombies were cleaned up by the people at the base. They didn't even have the chance to encounter zombies, let alone kill them. So, those students who said they missed the feeling of killing zombies were not joking, but really wanted to experience the feeling of killing zombies. Chu Hongsun didn't expect everyone's enthusiasm to be so high, which made him very satisfied. Then, he continued, yes, your training this time will be arranged outside, and the specific duration of the training has not yet been determined, but before that, I want to tell you that you will face a zombie tide when you go out for training this time. Having survived the apocalypse for so long, I think you also know what a zombie tide means and what the concept is. Moreover, it is a zombie tide of considerable scale. When it breaks out, the number of zombies will reach more than 5 million, and there will be zombies of various levels in the zombie tide. In other words, this zombie tide is full of dangers. If you participate, you will face life-threatening dangers. I have discussed this with the chief, and this time we go out for training, the choice is still in your hands. You can choose to participate or you can choose to quit. You only have one chance to choose, and you must make the choice now. You cannot wait until you get there to change your mind temporarily. We do not accept such a request. I'll give you 5 minutes to think about it. After 5 minutes, the students who want to continue to participate, stand on my left, and the students who do not want to continue to participate, stand on my right. I want to emphasize to you one last time that the danger of this outing will be very great, much greater than the danger during your rock climbing training. I cannot guarantee any safety or casualties for you. You have to rely on yourselves, okay? The 5-minute countdown officially begins. Chu Hongxun said so much in one breath. After that, he stood with his hands behind his back, without saying another word. The purpose of our coming here is to train and improve. The greater the risk, the greater the reward. Why should we retreat? Yes, according to our training in the first 3 weeks. Our progress each week will be greater than the previous week. I think this outing will be the most rewarding stage since our training. I will definitely not miss it. Isn't it just a zombie tide? Even if we don't participate in the training, it is entirely possible that we will encounter it in life. In this case, why should we be afraid? No matter what choice you make, I will continue to participate without hesitation. I will continue to participate, and I will never have any idea of retreating. Everyone began to discuss. From their discussion, it can be heard that none of them had any idea of retreating. After all, the first 3 weeks of training had already given them a lot of benefits. If they missed this opportunity to improve, wouldn't it be a pity? I didn't expect there would be a zombie outbreak during this trip, Murenzu said. But how did Instructor Chu and the others know about the zombie outbreak? Aren't zombie outbreaks usually sudden and unexpected? Can it be predicted? Muren Shan asked curiously. For us, it was naturally a sudden outbreak when we encountered it. After all, we haven't studied it in detail. But for Instructor Chu and the others, they must have arranged people to keep an eye on the patterns and factors of the zombie tide outbreak and study them every day. They must have drawn certain conclusions, so they can judge that there will be a zombie tide outbreak where we are going. Lin Fan thought for a while and continued, in short, when the zombie tide breaks out at this stage, there must be quite a few level 3 zombies, and even level 4 zombies may appear. There are dangers, but dangers also come with high rewards. If we kill the zombies, we can get energy crystals. By then, your strength can be improved to the level of level 4 evolvers more quickly. Lin Fan did think so. When the zombie tide breaks out, there will undoubtedly be evolved zombies. Giving the energy crystals obtained at that time to Murenzu and Murenshan will naturally speed up their evolution. But Brother Lin Fan, isn't it said that energy crystals are generally only effective when absorbed from a level higher than your own? For example, if we are sprinting to the level of a 4th level evolver at this stage, we must absorb energy crystals from 4th level zombies, right? Let's not talk about whether it is difficult for us to deal with a 4th level evolver, just say where are there so many 4th level zombies for us to deal with? Murenshan raised a doubt. It must be said that her doubt was raised very well. Lin Fan smiled lightly and said, although it is more effective to absorb energy crystals that are 1 level higher than your own level, it does not mean that absorbing energy crystals of the same level will not be effective. If the number is sufficient, it is still very effective. So, as long as we encounter enough 3rd level zombies in this zombie tide and get enough 3rd level energy crystals, after you absorb them, your strength can still break through to the 4th level evolver level faster. I see. Murenshan nodded in sudden realization. Okay, the 5 minutes are almost up. Let's stand on the left first, so that everyone will not think that we are going to quit, Lin Fan said jokingly. Chapter 465 Departure for Los Angeles. The place where they were standing was, relatively speaking, on the right-hand side of Chu Hongxun. In the past 3 minutes, many students had been looking at them. It was obvious that those students were wondering if they would quit. Hearing what Lin Fan said, Murengzhu, Murengshan, Li Zihan and Mu Hongling were all amused, and then they followed Andy and quickly followed Lin Fan to the left-hand side of Chu Hongxun. Soon, 5 minutes had passed, and the result was the same as the last time the students were asked to make a choice before the rock climbing training. No student stood on the right-hand side, and all stood on the left-hand side. It was enough to show that none of them chose to quit, and all stayed to continue the training. Seeing this result, Chu Hongxun nodded with satisfaction and said loudly, "First of all, I am very grateful to everyone for choosing to stay and continue to participate in the training. Secondly, I still want to remind you that the danger of this training may be greater than the dangers you have faced before. No matter what time, you must not relax your vigilance and must be vigilant at all times. Finally, I want to say that it is not yet determined how long you will stay out this time. I will give you 1 hour. You can take whatever you want back. As for food, someone has prepared it for you. It is all placed at the door of your room, including the backpack." Yes, when Chu Hongxun and Fen Kang called everyone to gather together before, they had already arranged for Daxin, Xiaotu and others to make full preparations. After hearing Chu Hongxun's words, everyone was a little moved. "Okay, don't delay now, hurry back to pack up and prepare." Chu Hongxun waved his hand and said, "Don't forget, you only have 1 hour. If you don't come here to gather after 1 hour, you will stay here." Yes, everyone answered in unison, and then no longer hesitated, and they all took action and returned to the accommodation area. Lin Fan and his companions also returned to the accommodation area very quickly. As expected, they saw the backpacks and food that Chu Hongxun mentioned at the door of their room. Take 2 sets of clothes, and mainly pack food and other things. After all, we don't know if there are any food resources to be found in the place we are going to next. It is definitely right to prepare food first. Lin Fan looked at Murengzhu and others and told them. Okay, Murengzhu and others naturally had no objection to this. The process of packing was not cumbersome for everyone. Because, in this place, they really didn't have much to pack. Just as Lin Fan said, the first thing they had to consider when they went out this time was food. What if there were no other food resources to be found in the place they were going to? Wouldn't it be embarrassing? However, some people were slower in packing, and it took them 40 to 50 minutes in total. Chu Hongxun gave them an hour, which was enough for them to pack. An hour later, Chu Hongxun returned to the crowd again, swept his eyes over the crowd, counted the number of people, and found that no one was absent. "Have you brought everything?" Chu Hongxun asked loudly. "It's ready," everyone answered in unison. "Okay, since you're all ready, then all of you turn left," Chu Hongxun said. Everyone turned left without delay. In the front left position, you can clearly see that there are more than 10 military trucks parked. "Now, everyone get on the trucks, and take you to the training place," Chu Hongxun ordered. Yes, everyone answered again, and quickly ran towards the more than 10 vehicles, and got on the trucks one after another to sit. Lin Fan, Murengzhu, Murengshan, Li Zihan, Mu Hongling and Andy naturally sat in the same car, and they sat side by side. The other male students, seeing Lin Fan sitting with such 4 beautiful girls, can't help but envy them. However, they envy, but they dare not have any extra thoughts. They all know that no matter Lin Fan's strength or Murengzhu's strength, they are not easy to provoke. After all the students got on the bus, Chu Hongxun ordered, "Let's go to the outside of the base gate to see if Instructor Feng is ready. If they are not ready, then we will wait for them outside the base gate." Yes, all the drivers responded loudly after hearing Chu Hongxun's words. Then, they didn't waste any more time, started the car and started to set off. When they arrived outside the base gate, the people in Fen Kang's camp had not come yet, so Chu Hongxun asked the car to stop by and wait. He had communicated with Fen Kang before, which side would wait for the other side after leaving the base gate first. Anyway, people from both camps would go to Luochang together. At this time, on Fen Kang's side, Li Keishu, Qin Changkong, Qin Changking and others had just boarded the car. There was no doubt that Qin Changkong was sitting next to Li Keishu. Qin Changkong glanced at the scenery outside the car, then turned back to look at Li Keishu and whispered, "Brother Keishu, this time we go out to train, I'm afraid it will take at least half a month, right? I heard Instructor Feng say that it is possible that before the competition between the 2 camps begins, we will all have to train outside, and we will not return to the base for the competition until the day of the competition between the 2 camps," Li Keishu said. He is the strongest student on Fenkang's side, no one else. Therefore, he and Fenkang still communicate a lot, and Fenkang also revealed a lot of information to him. Of course, he did not leak it casually. After all, Fenkang told him out of trust. If he leaked all the information he got from Fenkang, then after Fenkang knew it, although he would not have a bad relationship with him, at least Fenkang might not tell him any more information in the future. At this point, he was still very self-aware and knew how to keep a good distance. Is that so? That means we have to train for a long time. Qin Changquang's eyes fixed, and he said, Brother Kishu, then we have to think of a way to lure Lin Fan by then. There's no rush for this. There will always be a chance to meet them. The most important thing now is for you to break through to the 4th level evolver. A hint of solemnity appeared in Li Kishu's eyes, and he said, if your strength does not break through to the 4th level evolver, even if Lin Fan and I fight, you can't help much, because you know very well that Lin Fan has become a 4th level evolver, but he is not a very weak 4th level evolver. I still feel that if I am alone, I am afraid I will not be able to gain the upper hand in his hands. It is necessary for both of us to be 4th level evolvers to deal with him together. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelis. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 466 Arrogant Look. If Lin Fan's strength had not broken through to become a 4th level evolver, Li Kishu felt that he still had a chance to defeat Lin Fan, but the problem was that Lin Fan's strength was also a 4th level evolver now, and Li Kishu didn't have much confidence in defeating Lin Fan. At least, at this stage, he didn't have much confidence. Because he had also discussed with Fenkang privately whether Lin Fan had that kind of special ability. Fenkang believed that Lin Fan had that kind of special ability, otherwise his body wouldn't be so strong. With the increase of this special ability, Lin Fan's strength had obviously improved a lot, so how could he defeat Lin Fan by himself? You know, he knew very well that Lin Fan was not a vegetarian, unless his strength crushed Lin Fan. Hearing Li Kishu say this, Qin Changquang couldn't help but be slightly startled. From Li Kishu's tone, Qin Changquang could fully feel that Li Kishu had already developed a fear of Lin Fan's strength. However, he had no other choice now. Lin Fan had broken through to the 4th level of the evolver before him. If he wanted to defeat Lin Fan, he had to join forces with Li Kishu. Without Li Kishu's cooperation, the gap between him and Lin Fan would undoubtedly become larger and larger. Okay, Brother Kishu, I will work hard to improve my strength and strive to become a 4th level evolver as soon as possible. At this point, Qin Changquang's eyes turned and he thought of another question. He pretended to say casually, I hope that after we go out this time, we can encounter many evolved zombies. In that case, we can get energy crystals from the bodies of the evolved zombies and use the energy crystals to improve my strength to the 4th level of the evolver faster. He said this to hint to Li Kishu that he needed energy crystals. If Li Kishu wanted him to break through quickly, she would have to help him get some energy crystals. Li Kishu could naturally understand the meaning of Qin Changquang's words. He nodded and said, with the outbreak of the zombie tide, there will definitely be a lot of evolved zombies. At that time, I can provide you with some level 3 energy crystals to help you break through as soon as possible. Li Kishu didn't care much about the level 3 energy crystals now. After all, he had become a level 4 evolver. What he needed were level 4 and level 5 energy crystals. There was no need to think about level 5 energy crystals for the time being, but if there were level 4 energy crystals, he would use them himself, so how could he give them to Qin Changquang? Therefore, he could only reluctantly give out some level 3 energy crystals. Hearing this, Qin Changquang smiled in his heart, but on the surface he thanked him solemnly. Then I would like to thank Brother Kishu first. Don't worry, Brother Kishu, once my strength breaks through to the level 4 evolver, that will be the time for us to deal with Lin Fan. There will be no delay, no matter what the situation is at that time, he just needs to show his loyalty now. Yet, Li Kishu nodded slightly, without saying too much on this topic. While the two of them were talking, the rest of Fenkang's students also boarded the car, and then, at Fenkang's call, drove towards the base gate. The two teams met outside the base gate. Chu Hongsun and Fenkang got out of the car and met each other. Old Feng, have any students in your camp quit? Chu Hongsun asked. No. Feng Kang shook his head and asked in return, "What about your camp? Have any students quit?" "No." Chu Hongsun also shook his head. "Okay, it seems that these little guys are adventurous." Feng Kang smiled slightly, glanced in the direction of Luocheng, and said, "Is your team going to go in front or my team?" "It's okay, it doesn't matter," Chu Hongsun said casually. "Then my team will go in front." "Okay, anyway, after we get there, we will go in from two directions of Luocheng separately," Feng Kang said. "Then let's agree on the direction now." "Which direction of Luocheng will you go in from?" Chu Hongsun asked. Although the students in their camp went to Luocheng together, they would separate when entering Luocheng. One side would go from the east, and the other side would go from the west. They would not let both sides enter from the same direction for training. In that case, they would also worry that the students in both camps would have conflicts from the beginning. "Let's go from the east," Feng Kang said. "Okay, you go from the east, then we go from the west. Let's make it so that when we arrive in Luocheng, we will not stop and go straight to the west," Chu Hongsun said. "No problem," Feng Kang nodded. The east and the west are just two directions. They don't know what the current situation in Luocheng is. However, from the perspective of being an instructor, they hope that the zombies encountered by the students in their camp after entering can be larger. In this way, not only will the training effect of the students be better, but they will also have the opportunity to obtain energy crystals. "Get in the car," Chu Hongsun said, turning back to the car. Seeing this, Feng Kang did not waste time and also turned back to the car. Chu Hongsun waved his hand, and the convoy started to set off. The convoy led by Feng Kang followed closely behind. Since each car was covered with cloth, the students sitting in the car could not see the situation outside when the cloth was covered. The students sat in the car, either chatting and playing, or resting with their eyes closed. "Brother Lin Fan, we will definitely meet Qin Changquang and others when we go out for training this time. Do you think they will come to cause trouble?" Muran Shan was in a better mood at this time and didn't want to rest, so she casually talked about a topic. This topic was related to them. Lin Fan thought about it and said, "If they meet, they will definitely cause trouble, but we don't have to worry about anything now. If they come to cause trouble, then teach them a lesson. The more times they are taught, they will know what to do when they see us in the future." Lin Fan really didn't need to take Qin Changquang and others seriously anymore. The gap between the two sides was destined to get bigger and bigger. If the other party didn't come to cause trouble, then they could live a more relaxed and happy life. But if the other party must come to cause trouble, then you can't blame him for being cruel. Even if he didn't kill the other party, he would make the other party suffer some unforgettable pain. "That's right, anyway, they can only be beaten," Muran Shan said happily. "That's right, no matter what they want to do, we don't have to worry, strength is the foundation." Lin Fan smiled faintly, and his tone was full of confidence. "Brother Lin Fan, I like to see you so arrogant," Muran Shan echoed. As soon as she said this, Muran Zhu, Li Zihan and Mu Hongling all laughed. Chapter 467. Are there level 4 zombies? The training base is several hundred kilometers away from Luocheng. Although the zombies in an area outside the training base have been cleared, the areas farther away have not been cleared. After all, the zombies in those areas are very mobile. If you want to clean them up, you can't clean them up unless you arrange people to keep an eye on them every day. To do this, the human resources invested will be very large, and there is no need to do so. Therefore, when the convoy drives out of the area around the base, the speed of driving will naturally not be maintained so fast. If you encounter zombies on the way, the speed of driving will be affected. However, these problems are not what Lin Fan and others need to worry about. With Chu Hongsun and Feng Kang, 2 level 5 evolvers, and some military evolvers in the convoy, they just need to stay in the car. About a day later, the convoy also arrived outside Luocheng. Although Chu Hongsun and Feng Kang agreed that they didn't need to say hello and just walked separately, when they really arrived, Chu Hongsun still stopped the convoy. He opened the door and walked out, looking at the car where Feng Kang was. Feng Kang rolled down the window and looked at him, asking, "Old Chu, what's wrong? Is there anything else?" "Nothing, just saying hello to you," Chu Hongsun said with a smile. "Haha, okay." Feng Kang laughed and said, "Then we will go our separate ways here. You go to the west and we go to the east. When the time comes, we will meet up at Century Plaza in Luocheng. Don't forget to tell your students, in Luocheng, there is a place called Century Plaza. This place, from a geographical point of view, is the most central area of Luocheng. Their two camps entered Luocheng from two directions, and they still had to meet together in the end. It was impossible for them to keep separating. Therefore, they needed to determine a meeting place first. Obviously, this meeting place was Century Plaza. Okay, I'll tell them. See you first, Chu Hongsun nodded. Goodbye, Feng Kang nodded again. Chu Hongsun returned to the car, started the car, walked in front and led his camp's convoy to the west of Luocheng. Seeing Chu Hongsun's convoy leaving, Feng Kang did not hesitate any longer and drove his convoy towards the east of Luocheng. The two camps officially separated from here. The place where they separated was not much different from the east and west of Luocheng in terms of distance. About 2 hours later, the convoys of both sides arrived at their destinations. Chu Hongsun did not drive the car into the city at this time, but parked it on the side of the road. Everyone, put on your backpacks now and get off the car, Chu Hongsun said loudly. There are currently no zombies in this area. Although his voice is not small, no zombies will be attracted. Let's go, get off the car. Lin Fan took the lead and carried his backpack, and then walked out of the car without delay. Seeing this, Murengzhu, Murengshan, Li Zihan, Mu Hongling and Andy did not delay at all and got off the car behind Lin Fan. The other students also got off the car one after another. They gathered in front of Chu Hongsun and stood. Chu Hongsun swept his eyes over the crowd and said loudly, "Everyone, behind you is the place where you are going to go out for training this time. This place is a city called Luocheng. I will now tell you about the situation of this city. This city is a third-tier city with a permanent population of 7 or 8 million. During the peak tourist season, the population will exceed 10 million. When the doomsday breaks out, it happens to be the peak tourist season, which means that this city will have nearly 10 million people at that stage. According to this ratio, you can roughly estimate the number of zombies. Then, according to our inference, this city will have a zombie tide in about 10 days or half a month. The scale of the zombie tide is very large. As for how big it is not clear at the moment, but it will definitely not be less than 5 million zombies. After you go in, everything depends on you. I and the people on my side will no longer follow you. We will go directly to the most central area of Luocheng, where there is a place called Century Plaza. At that time, you also need to come to this place to join us. Do you understand?" "Understood," everyone answered in unison. Chu Hongsun's words were very concise, and they couldn't help but understand. Anyway, the summary's 1 point. After experiencing the zombie tide, go to Century Plaza to meet up. "Okay, I understand." Chu Hongsun raised his palm, raised it above his head, and then swung it down, saying at the same time, "Now I declare that your training trip to Luocheng has officially begun." "Yes," everyone answered in unison again. "Brother Lin Fan, are we going directly into Luocheng now?" Murengshan tilted her head and looked at Lin Fan and asked. "Almost. After all, Instructor Chu and his team drove to Century Plaza, and Luocheng is behind them. It's impossible for us to take a car in." Lin Fan smiled faintly. "Then shall we set off now?" Murengshan asked again. "Well, let's go. There's nothing else to do here." Lin Fan nodded, and when he was about to turn around and leave, Chu Hongsun came in front of them. "Lin Fan," Chu Hongsun called out. "Instructor Chu," Lin Fan greeted. "Instructor Chu." Murengzhu, Murengshan, Li Zihan and Mu Hongling also greeted him. "Yes," Chu Hongsun nodded and said, "You all have to be careful. Don't be careless. There's a high possibility that there will be level 4 zombies in this zombie tide. When you encounter them, don't fight hard if you can't beat them. Protecting your own safety is the most important thing." "Are there level 4 zombies?" Lin Fan's eyes lit up. "The energy crystals of level 3 zombies have no effect on him, but he can't get the energy crystals of level 5 zombies, so he can only think of the energy crystals of level 4 zombies. There should be." Chu Hongsun nodded and said, "At this stage of the doomsday outbreak, there are quite a few level 4 evolvers among humans, and there are naturally some among zombies, especially in a group like the zombie tide. It is too normal for there to be level 4 zombies." "Okay, Instructor Chu, we will pay attention to safety. After the zombie tide is over, we will go to Century Plaza to find you," Lin Fan said in a deep voice. "Okay, then we will wait for you at Century Plaza." Chu Hongsun nodded again. Chapter 468 Andy's Sensing. After Lin Fan and Chu Hongsun finished talking, they didn't waste any more time. They looked at Murengzhu and Andy, waved their hands, and said, let's go into the city, okay. Murengzu, Murengshan, Li Zihan and Mu Hongling naturally had no objection. The 5 people and the dog began to walk towards Luocheng. Seeing that Lin Fan and others had started to move, the other students no longer hesitated and walked towards Luocheng. Chu Hongsun and others did not leave immediately, but stood on the side of the road and stared at the students. They would not feel relieved until they saw every student enter Luocheng. It's not that they don't trust these students, but some students are eager to play. If they don't go in on time, if they miss the outbreak of the zombie tide, wouldn't they lose the effect of the training? It won't take much time to get to this location, about 10 minutes. When Chu Hongsun saw that all the students had entered Luocheng, he retracted his gaze and said, okay, since they have all entered, let's go too. Instructor Chu, are we going directly to Century Plaza now? Dakshin came forward and asked. He was also among the drivers this time. Yes, when we get to Century Plaza, we will also conduct a series of training for you. We can't let you waste time, Chu Hongsun said. Letting Dakshin and others drive to this place is not to bring them here to rest, but to train them here. After all, the strength of Dakshin and others also needs to be continuously improved. If it remains unchanged or improves slowly, it will undoubtedly be a great loss for the base. In any case, the talents of Dakshin and others are still very strong. It would be a waste if such talents are not used well. Moreover, the most important thing is that many of them have reached the peak of the 3rd level evolvers, and they are only a little bit away from entering the level of the 4th level evolvers. Chu Hongsun and Fen Kang both intended to help them make a breakthrough during their stay in Luocheng, so that they could truly become level 4 evolvers. Yes, hearing Chu Hongsun's words, Dakshin and the others saluted Chu Hongsun, and then without wasting any time, they returned to their cars and drove to Century Plaza in Luocheng with Chu Hongsun. When they drove into the city, some students noticed their vehicles. Lin Fan and Murengzu also noticed it. Murengshan looked at the vehicles with her beautiful eyes and couldn't help saying, Brother Lin Fan, look, it seems that Instructor Chu and his team, yes, it's them. It looks like they are heading to Century Plaza now. Lin Fan also looked over and nodded. Then where should we go now? Murengshan asked curiously. Now, what we have to do is to wander around in this city. Lin Fan smiled slightly. Just wandering around. Lin Fan's answer made Murengzu, Murengshan, Li Zihan and Mu Hongling all startled. They felt that such words did not come from Lin Fan's mouth. Because, from their understanding of Lin Fan would think very carefully about everything he did, that is, he had a certain goal in everything he did, instead of doing it aimlessly. Don't forget, we came to this city to wait for the zombie tide to break out, not to go directly to Century Plaza to meet Instructor Chu and his team. Lin Fan smiled and explained, if we go directly to meet Instructor Chu and his team, wouldn't we just find a car and drive over there immediately? And when I say wandering around, I don't mean not doing anything. It's just that while wandering around, we can see if we can find a level 3 zombie. Killing a level 3 zombie will give us energy crystals, so that your strength can be improved to the level of a level 4 evolver faster. Of course, what Lin Fan was thinking in his heart was that if he could encounter a level 4 zombie, especially a level 4 zombie that he could deal with, that would undoubtedly be the best outcome. But there is no need to say such words, it is not too late to say it when you meet them. I see. At this moment, Murengzu, Murengshan, Li Zihan and Mu Hongling all understood it with a sudden realization. At that moment, they really thought that Lin Fan was going to wander around aimlessly. By the way, Andy, do you have a keen sense of zombies? Lin Fan glanced around, and for a moment he could not decide which direction to go. Then he turned his gaze to Andy and asked. Andy is a dog, and dogs' sense of smell is much more sensitive than humans. He wondered if Andy's sense of smell for zombies would also be more sensitive. Andy didn't seem to understand Lin Fan's words very well, and looked at Lin Fan with wide eyes. The information revealed in his eyes was just 2 words, confused. Andy's expression made Murengshan and others laugh out loud. Lin Fan shook his head helplessly and said, I'm not asking you to judge whether there are evolved zombies in a certain place, I just want to ask you if you can roughly feel which direction has more zombies. The more zombies there are, the higher the chance of the appearance of evolved zombies. When there is no other direction, it is definitely right to go in the direction with more zombies. Hearing this, Andy immediately tapped his dog's head. His sense of smell is very sensitive. Although he can't smell the specific number of zombies, he can still feel the direction with more zombies. Can I? Lin Fan's eyes showed a hint of joy, and then he said, "Then feel it now, which direction has more zombies in the surrounding area?" Andy tapped his dog's head again, tilted his head back, and kept breathing through his nose, obviously starting the sensing that Lin Fan mentioned. Not long after, he stopped, looked at Lin Fan, raised his paw, and pointed to the direction to the right, indicating to Lin Fan that there were more zombies on the right. "Okay, let's go to the right first." Lin Fan made a decision immediately. He believed that Andy's judgment would not be wrong. The 5 people and the dog did not delay and immediately ran to the right. After walking about 3 kilometers, they saw a lot of zombies gathering on the street. These zombies gathered outside an office building. And there were also many zombies in the office building. "Lin Fan, there seems to be someone in that office building, and it seems to be trapped inside by zombies." Murangzu looked out with her beautiful eyes, and looked up along the floors of the office building. Soon she saw a figure walking on the 10th floor. Then, she stretched out her hand and pointed to the 10th floor and said, "Look, those people are there." Chapter 469, Reading So Fast. Lin Fan, Murang Shan, Li Zihan and Mu Hongling looked in the direction of Murangzu's finger, and indeed saw figures moving around on the 10th floor. A rough estimate was that there were at least a dozen people on the 10th floor. They are indeed trapped inside. Judging from the trend, if they don't have external help, they will only be pushed up higher and higher by the zombies. It won't be long before they are forced to the rooftop by the zombies. Lin Fan's eyes condensed, and he said slowly, "At that time, they will only have 2 choices, either fight the zombies or jump off the building to escape." Murang Shan opened her mouth and said, "This office building has 30 floors, about 100 meters high. If they jump from such a high place, they will probably die, that's for sure, unless there is a level 4 evolver among them." Lin Fan smiled and said, "But it is obvious that there is no evolver of this level among them. If there is, these zombies would not be able to trap them inside." This reminded Lin Fan that before in the mountains, Li Zihan was forced to jump off a 100-meter high cliff. But at that time, the place where she jumped was a forest with trees and soil. The ground here is concrete, not as soft as soil. If he jumped down from the rooftop, unless he was a level 4 evolver like him, he would definitely be seriously injured or fall to his death. Their life and death is not related to us. Let's first find out if there are any level 3 zombies among these zombies. It would be great if there are level 3 zombies. Murang Shan curled her lips. It's not that she is hard-hearted, but this is the mentality that should be maintained in the doomsday. Take care of yourself first, then you can care about others. "Let me see," Lin Fan said, and then he began to scan with the ring without hesitation. The speed of the ring scanning is naturally much faster than the speed of the naked eye. While Murangzu and others were still slowly searching, he had already mastered all the information about the zombies here. However, he did not speak out immediately, but waited for about 3 minutes before speaking. "I looked around, and there are about 3 level 3 zombies in this group of zombies, including the zombies in the office building. This means that we can get 3 level 3 energy crystals. Well, it's not bad, at least it's a good start." "Brother Lin Fan, you are looking too fast, right? You have already looked inside the office building, and I'm still looking at the streets outside." Murang Shan couldn't help but sigh. She didn't think that the data Lin Fan said was just casually said. She believed that this data must have been carefully verified by Lin Fan. Murangzu, Li Zihan and Mu Hongling were also very surprised by Lin Fan's speed of viewing. They didn't expect Lin Fan to be able to see so quickly. "I may also have a stronger sense of scanning these zombies." Lin Fan smiled faintly, without saying anything more on this issue. He changed the subject and said, "Okay, now that the target has been determined, let's start the action. Lin Fan, you don't have to participate in dealing with these zombies, right?" Li Zihan glanced at Lin Fan and said with a smile, "Wouldn't it be better to leave it to us for experience?" "That's right, then I'll wait here, and you go and deal with them." Lin Fan smiled and nodded. He is now a level 4 evolver. If he goes to deal with these zombies, it will be a pure overwhelming trend like a wolf entering a flock of sheep. These zombies are simply not his opponents. The most important thing is that he has a lot of combat experience and no longer needs to use these zombies to improve his combat experience. Then, if these zombies are handed over to Murangzu and others to deal with, the effect will be better, and it can also improve Murangzu and others' actual combat experience. "Brother Lin Fan, just wait here, it's right to leave it to us." Murang Shan winked playfully. "In short, don't be careless and pay attention to safety," Lin Fan warned. He just looked at the 3 level 3 zombies. 2 of them have data at 13 and 1 has data at 14. With such data, Murong Zhu, Murong Shan, Li Zihan, Mu Hongling or Andy, anyone can deal with it, as long as they are not careless. Don't worry, Murong Zhu and the others responded, and then rushed out with Andy without wasting any time. Lin Fan took a look and saw a chair nearby. He walked to the chair and sat down, slowly watching the performance of Murong Zhu and the others. Murong Zhu and the others quickly rushed into the zombie group and fought fiercely with the zombies. At the same time, in the office building, on the 10th floor, 3 people who were obviously the leaders of this group sat on the sofa. Their faces were not very good, and they were discussing how to solve the current dilemma. "What do you think we should do now?" A woman in her 30s frowned and said. Although this woman's appearance is not particularly outstanding, her figure is indeed very hot. The small vest she wears can be clearly felt to be propped up high, and it feels like it will be torn apart if it is a little smaller. In addition, the hot pants the woman wears on her lower body reveal her 2 long legs. Although her skin is not very white, it is a healthy wheat color, which is indeed tempting. Hearing the woman's question, the other 2 men looked at each other, and the man on the left said, "The current situation is very clear. We are trapped here by zombies. There is no way out. Either we fight them or we can only keep retreating to the upper floors. There is no problem retreating to the upper floors, but the upper floors are not infinitely extended. When we reach the 30th floor, we can't retreat anymore, right?" the woman said helplessly. "Then there is no choice, we can only fight them," the man on the left said. "What do you think is the probability of us fighting them and breaking out of the encirclement?" the woman asked again. The man thought for a moment, stretched out a finger and gestured, and said, 10% chance, or even less than 10%, Alice. Seeing this, the woman also sighed deeply. Hearing their conversation, the man on the right spoke after a long while, "We should not be so pessimistic. Although we have not found a solution yet, it does not mean that we have only one way to die." "What do you mean?" the woman asked. "It means that we still have a lot of food resources prepared, so we will not starve to death here. In the process of retreating to the upper floors, if we wait for other people to come and deal with these zombies, then we will have a chance to survive." "Right," said the man on the right. Chapter 470 Wong Changping. When they were trapped here, they did prepare a lot of food resources. However, the woman didn't know exactly how much food resources there were, and she didn't know in detail. She glanced at everyone and asked, "How long can the remaining food resources here last for us? If we eat sparingly, it will last at least a month," the man on the right answered. Hearing this, the woman took a deep breath and said, "I hope someone will come to clean up the zombies outside within this month." "Isn't this possibility too low?" the man on the left shook his head and said, "There are so many zombies gathered here, and the zombies are all strong. It's not certain that someone will come to clean them up. Now we have no other way, we can only think like this. In short, we have to take one step at a time. There is no use thinking too much, unless our own strength is enough to eliminate the zombies outside," the man on the right said. At this time, a man standing at the window watching suddenly shouted, "Brother Wong, come and see. Someone below has started to attack the zombies." "What?" Hearing the man's voice, everyone on this floor was stunned. Then, without any delay, they immediately walked towards the window and looked down. As expected, they saw 4 figures fighting zombies on the street below. "Damn. These 4 girls are so amazing. Killing zombies is like playing." "Who are they? Are they here to save us? Do you know them?" "No, I haven't even seen them. Could it be that they saw us trapped here and kindly helped us?" "It's possible. I just don't know if they can deal with level 3 zombies. If they can, then we are saved." "Wait. Are you paying attention? Is there a dog attacking zombies over there?" This voice immediately diverted everyone's attention. "Damn. There really is a dog fighting zombies there." That dog's reaction is so fast. It must have evolved. Pay attention to the color of the dog's eyes. It actually has the strength of a level 3 evolver. Really, everyone was amazed. The man called Brother Wong, who was sitting on the right side of the sofa, said solemnly, "The dogs they brought with them are all level 3, which means they are also very strong. It seems that we are really saved today." "Yes, I didn't expect someone to come to save us," said the man on the left. The woman also showed a happy smile on her face. It was obvious that she didn't want to be trapped here to death. "Let's pack up and get ready first. They will definitely come up later, and then we can leave this place," Wong Changping said. Yes, Brother Wong, everyone responded, and then without any hesitation, they started to pack up. They didn't want to be trapped in this place by zombies again. If they could leave, they would leave. Wang Changping didn't pack up, but continued to stand by the window and stare down. Because the distance was a bit far, and Murinzu and the others were very fast, he couldn't see Murinzu and the others' appearance clearly. On the street, Murinzu, Li Zihan and Mu Hongling waved their jade hands, and the heads of zombies were constantly chopped off by the sharp weapons in their hands. As for Andy, he kept jumping on the zombies and biting their heads with his sharp teeth. Andy also kept killing the zombies. Most of the zombies on the street were ordinary zombies and level 1 zombies. Zombies of this strength could not hinder Murinzu and her friends at all. Therefore, it didn't take long for them to clear all the zombies on the street. Okay, let's go into the office building, Murinzu glanced and said. Yes, Muringshan, Li Zihan and Mu Hongling had no objection. They flashed and rushed into the door of the office building. Roar! The zombies gathered in the office building opened their mouths and roared after hearing the sound, and rushed towards them. In addition to ordinary zombies and level 1 zombies, there were also some level 2 zombies. The 3 level 3 zombies were all between the floors and had not been encountered by them yet. Crack! 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 As Murinzu and the others attacked, the heads of the zombies fell to the ground one after another, and soon the ground in the office building was covered with zombie heads. After they dealt with the zombies here, they rushed into the office building and began to clean up the zombies on the floor. The man and the woman on the left packed up very quickly, and they finished in just a few minutes. Then, the two of them returned to the window again, looked down, and couldn't help trembling. This was solved so quickly, the two saw that the streets and the gates of the building were full of zombie corpses. It can be said that they were shocked. They didn't expect that Murinzu and Andy's speed was so fast. You know, it was only a few minutes. In a few minutes, so many zombies were killed. If they hadn't seen it with their own eyes, they would never believe it. Wang Changping took a deep breath again, nodded heavily and said, they and the dog should all have the strength of level 3, all have the strength of level 3. This sentence shocked the man and woman on the left again. Remember, when they come up later, don't provoke them. If they don't ask you anything, then don't speak. I'll tell you everything. Do you understand? Wang Changping said solemnly. I understand, Brother Wang, we'll listen to you. The man and woman on the left looked at each other and nodded without hesitation. Having survived in the apocalypse for so long, they naturally knew the rules of survival in the apocalypse. In the face of strength, there is no law. If they accidentally say the wrong thing and offend others, and others kill them, then they have nowhere to seek justice. There are only 3 level 3 zombies. How should we distribute them to deal with them? Murin Shan locked her sight on a level 3 zombie and asked aloud. Why don't you 3 deal with it? Mu Hongling said. Her strength has reached the peak of a level 3 evolver. She is indeed just a little bit away from becoming a level 4 evolver. She doesn't really need to deal with level 3 zombies to accumulate combat experience. Moreover, she did not think that these 3 level 3 zombies could bring her any combat experience. As long as Murinzu and the other 2 could handle them, then let them do it. This would maximize the benefits and allow Murinzu and the other 2 to gain better experience. Chapter 471. Just take it. Okay, then we won't be polite with you. We will deal with these 3 level 3 zombies. Murinzu nodded and said. This is not the time to be hypocritical. Since Mu Hongling has taken the initiative to say so, if they still pretend to be hypocritical and shirk, it will make Mu Hongling feel that they are treating her as an outsider. Yet, Mu Hongling also nodded. Xiao Shan, then you deal with this level 3 zombie, and Zihan and I will deal with the level 3 zombies on the upper floors. Murinzu looked at Murin Shan with her beautiful eyes and said. Okay, sister, I'll go then. Murin Shan smiled and responded, and then began to approach the level 3 zombie. Murin Shan's speed was very fast. In the blink of an eye, she came to the front of the level 3 zombie. She waved her jade hand and attacked the level 3 zombie. Facing Murin Shan's attack, the level 3 zombie couldn't help but fight with Murin Shan. Bang! The collision between the 2 sides immediately spread a dull sound. Zombies don't feel pain, so Murin Shan's attacks on zombies naturally won't cause them any pain. However, this fight made Murin Shan feel that this level 3 zombie was not as strong as hers, and she would be able to deal with it as long as she was careful. Bang! Bang! Murin Shan stared with her beautiful eyes, and kept swinging the weapon in her hand to attack the level 3 zombie. Although Miranzu, Li Zihan and Mu Hongling were also fighting with other zombies, they were also keeping an eye on Muranshan at all times to prevent Muranshan from having any unexpected situations. But after a look, they could also be sure that Muranshan would have no problem dealing with this level 3 zombie, and they didn't need to worry about anything at all. Andy was even safer. It was small, fast, and very flexible in movement. It shuttled between these zombies and kept biting the zombies' heads. Soon, except for the level 3 zombie that Muranshan was dealing with, all the other zombies on this floor were dealt with by them. Sister, you guys go upstairs first, don't wait for me, I'll come up to you after I deal with it. Muranshan knew that Muranzu and the others had dealt with the rest of the zombies, and she spoke while dealing with a level 3 zombie in front of her. Muranzu was still a little worried when she heard Muranshan say that. Woof woof. But at this time, Andy barked. Muranzu tilted her head and glanced at Andy, and instantly understood what Andy meant. Andy, then you stay here with Xiaoshan, and you come up together after Xiaoshan is dealt with, Muranzu said. Woof woof. Andy barked twice again, and nodded his dog head. What he meant just now was exactly what Muranzu said. Because he could see that Muranzu was worried about Muranshan. Yes, with Andy staying to watch, there won't be any problem. Let's go upstairs and deal with the zombies upstairs, Li Zihan said. The two of you can just deal with the remaining 2 level 3 zombies, and I'll deal with the rest of the zombies, Mu Hongling said. Okay, Muranzu and Li Zihan looked at each other and said they had no objection. Mu Hongling's strength was stronger than the two of them. The rest of the zombies had not even reached level 3. It could be said that there was no accident for Mu Hongling to deal with them. The 3 of them did not delay any longer and quickly ran upstairs. After Andy saw the 3 of them go upstairs, he retracted his gaze and ran to Muranshan. He stood quietly beside her and watched Muranshan deal with a level 3 zombie. It stopped at a very suitable distance. At this distance, if Muranshan was in any danger, it could rush to help Muranshan in the first time and absolutely ensure that Muranshan would not be hurt. Bang! Bang! Muranshan continued to fight with a level 3 zombie. The battle became more and more intense. Fortunately, Muranshan's strength was not simple, and her speed and reaction were also very fast. Even without a gun for her to use, she could still wipe out this level 3 zombie. Bang! After fighting for 10 minutes, Muranshan finally found the right opportunity. She flashed to the side of the 3rd level zombie's body and stabbed the dagger in her hand quickly. Before the 3rd level zombie could react, she inserted the dagger steadily into the 3rd level zombie's head. Click! When the dagger was inserted, Muranshan also used her wrist to pick it hard. This pick removed the bones in the zombie's head. The zombie was completely killed and the body fell backwards. Muranshan immediately squatted down and used the dagger to pick open the zombie's head again, and took out the 3rd level energy crystal from it. This is the first 3rd level energy crystal I have personally harvested in my life. After Muranshan wiped the blood off the 3rd level energy crystal, a sweet smile hung on the corner of her mouth. The 3rd level energy crystals she had obtained before were all given to her by Lin Fan, and she had never obtained them personally. Therefore, this 3rd level energy crystal was indeed the first one she had obtained personally. She was very happy about this. After putting away the level 3 energy crystal, she wiped the blood off the dagger, then looked at Andy and said with a smile, "Okay, Andy, let's go upstairs." Andy naturally had no objection, nodded his head, and ran upstairs with Muranshan. At this time, Muranzu was dealing with a level 3 zombie, Li Zihan was dealing with a level 3 zombie, and Mu Hongling just dealt with the rest of the zombies. Seeing Muranshan and Andy coming up, Mu Hongling couldn't help asking, "Did you solve it?" "Solved?" Muranshan nodded. "Did you remember to take the energy crystal?" Mu Hongling asked with a smile. She was worried that Muranshan forgot to take the energy crystal from the level 3 zombie. "Sister Hongling, of course I won't forget this thing. If I forget this thing, then I just dealt with a level 3 zombie in vain," Muranshan chuckled. "Well, just take it." Mu Hongling also smiled. Then, the two of them looked at Muranzu and Li Zihan. Bang! 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 Muranzu and Li Zihan's attacks on the level 3 zombies were fierce, and wave after wave of attacks fell on the level 3 zombies. Because they had just fought for a while, they didn't fight for long to kill the 2 level 3 zombies. After all, compared with their strength, these 2 level 3 zombies could not pose much threat to them, and it was completely reasonable to kill them at such a speed and such a time. After getting rid of the 2 level 3 zombies, Murenzhu and Li Zihan also took out the level 3 energy crystals in the HUDs of the level 3 zombies. The two turned and walked towards Murenshan and Mu Hongling. At this time, Lin Fan also appeared on this floor. Chapter 472, Understanding Los Angeles Information. Although Lin Fan did not follow them into the office building, he could see their performance clearly from outside. He estimated that they had almost finished dealing with the level 3 zombies, so he stood up and walked in. As it turned out, Lin Fan's estimation was quite appropriate. As soon as he came in, Murenzhu and Li Zihan dealt with the 2 level 3 zombies. Brother Lin Fan, I was just about to greet you and ask you to come up. I didn't expect you to come up by yourself. Murenshan looked back and saw Lin Fan, and said with a smile. I can see everything happening here clearly from below, and I came here when I saw that the time was almost up. Lin Fan smiled faintly. Then, he took a look at the zombie corpses on the ground and asked, how do you feel about dealing with level 3 zombies? It's quite interesting, Murenshan replied. It's much more interesting than dealing with level 2 zombies, Murenzhu said. I still want to continue fighting with level 3 zombies, Li Zihan said. Although the answers of the 3 of them sounded different, they could all feel that they were full of interest in level 3 zombies. Oh, yes, energy crystals. Murenzhu took out the level 3 energy crystals on her body and handed them to Lin Fan. Seeing this, Li Zihan and Murenshan also took them out. Okay, then I'll collect them first, and then distribute them when there are a certain number, Lin Fan said, and then collected the level 3 energy crystals they handed over. Although these 3 level 3 zombies were dealt with by Murenzhu, Murenshan and Li Zihan, it is obvious that there was a reason why Mu Hongling did not deal with them. If Mu Hongling dealt with them, the 3 level 3 zombies together would not be Mu Hongling's opponent, which is equivalent to Mu Hongling taking all 3 energy crystals. Of course, this is also the reason why he did not take action. If he took action himself, all the zombies could be easily dealt with by him. Therefore, the things that their team harvested should be collected together and cannot be distributed casually. It is not too late to distribute them when there are enough to distribute, so as to ensure fairness. After putting away the level 3 energy crystal, Lin Fan turned his eyes and looked towards the stairs. He said, the 10th floor is upstairs. The people we saw outside just now are upstairs. Let's go up and take a look. Since they are here, they should have some understanding of the situation in this place. Ask them and maybe we can get the information we want to know. Yes, Murenzhu, Murenshan, Li Zihan and Mu Hongling all nodded. The 5 people and the dog walked towards the stairs. On the 10th floor, Wang Changping and others were ready and had packed up everything they needed to pack. Brother Wang, why is there no movement downstairs? A man asked. Just now they could still hear the sound coming from downstairs, but now they couldn't hear any sound. Is the battle over? Wang Changping said. Brother Wang, do you want me to go down and take a look? The man asked again. Wang Changping was hesitating whether to agree or not. Before he could think it over, footsteps were heard at the stairs. Then, Lin Fan and others appeared at the door. Wang Changping and others were completely stunned when they saw Murenzhu, Murenshan, Li Zihan and Mu Hongling's appearance and figures up close. They didn't expect that Murenzhu and the other 4 were so good looking. Of course, they didn't expect that there was another Lin Fan in the team. However, when they saw Lin Fan's position, they understood one thing, that is, Murenzhu and the others were probably following Lin Fan. Although Lin Fan looked very young, they couldn't think about anything else at this time and could only confirm this fact. Thank you for helping us. Thank you so much, Wang Changping quickly reacted and thanked Lin Fan and the other 5. Hearing what Wang Changping said, the others also thanked Lin Fan and the other 5. Lin Fan nodded slightly and walked in with Murenzhu and the other 4 and Andy. Hello, my name is Wang Changping, and I'm the leader of this team. We've been trapped here for several days. We thought we had no chance to get out. Thank you so much for coming. Wang Changping quickly asked Lin Fan and the other 4 to sit on the sofa. After thanking them again, he said, you can take as much food resources as you want. We won't frown. For people at Wang Changping's level, food resources are still the most important resources in their eyes. Although it is very likely that the food resources will be completely taken away after he said this, he also knows very well that if Lin Fan and his men didn't kill the zombies, they would be trapped here sooner or later. If they don't even have their lives, what's the point of having more resources? Wang Changping saw this very clearly. What's more, he knew that Lin Fan and his men were stronger than them, And even if they wanted to forcibly take away their resources, they would have no way to do it. Because he was the strongest in their team, and he was only at the peak of the second level evolver, and had not yet entered the level of the third level evolver. We don't want your resources at all. Lin Fan glanced at Wang Changping and shook his head. Huh? Wang Changping was obviously surprised by Lin Fan's answer. He didn't expect Lin Fan to not want their resources, and not at all. You heard me right. I don't want your resources. Just keep them for yourself, Lin Fan emphasized. Then, Wang Changping's expression slightly condensed, and asked, then can we do something for you? You don't have to do anything for us. Lin Fan shook his head again. Wang Changping was even more confused now. He didn't want resources, and he didn't want to help. Did he just come to save them? Lin Fan could naturally see Wang Changping's doubts. He smiled and said, I just want to ask you some questions. You just need to tell me what you know. Okay, ask whatever you want. I will tell you everything I know. Wang Changping nodded repeatedly. Are you a local in Luocheng? Lin Fan asked. I'm not. Wang Changping shook his head, and then changed the subject, adding, but I have lived in Luocheng for more than 20 years. Even if I'm not a local, my familiarity with Luocheng is not much worse than that of the locals. That's fine. Lin Fan nodded and continued to ask, in that case, then tell me about the current situation in Luocheng. For example, what family forces are there in Luocheng, how strong these family forces are, and similar information. Luocheng is such a populous city. Lin Fan believes that there may be various families and forces in this city. They will stay in Luocheng for a while, and it is right to understand this information in advance. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelis. There you'll find the original version of this story, and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 473, Not Lacked at All. Hearing Lin Fan's question, Wang Changping breathed a sigh of relief. He was worried that the questions Lin Fan was going to ask were beyond his knowledge. In that case, he would not be able to answer them even if he wanted to. After all, Lin Fan and others helped them eliminate so many zombies, which was equivalent to saving their lives. He naturally wanted to help Lin Fan and others. Now that he knew the questions Lin Fan wanted to know, he had nothing to worry about. Because the information Lin Fan wanted to know was the information he knew. Don't know your name yet? Wang Changping asked Lin Fan first. My name is Lin Fan, Lin Fan said. Okay, brother Fan. Wang Changping changed the address. Although Lin Fan looked younger than him, Lin Fan's strength was stronger than his, which was enough. If he was not sure how strong Lin Fan was just now, he could be 100% sure now. From beginning to end, it was Lin Fan who talked to him. Murong Zhu, Murong Shan, Li Zihan and Mu Hongling did not speak. Obviously, Murong Zhu and the other four were focusing on Lin Fan. If he still can't see such an obvious situation, then it can only mean that there is something wrong with his IQ. Brother Fan, a month ago, the family power situation in Luocheng was still quite complicated, but in this month, the family power in Luocheng has been greatly integrated, Wang Changping said. Well, just tell me what you know, don't worry, don't feel any pressure, tell me what you know, and don't worry about what you don't know. Lin Fan smiled slightly. Seeing the smile on Lin Fan's face, Wang Changping also relaxed a lot, nodded and said, okay, brother Fan, at present, there are a total of 3 major forces in Luocheng, namely the Luo clan, the Zhang family and the Xia family. Tell me about their strength, Lin Fan said. Yes, Wang Changping nodded again and introduced, the leader of the Luo clan has the strength of a 4th level evolver. I don't know how strong he is exactly. The 2 deputy leaders are both at the peak of the 3rd level evolvers, and they should be very close to breaking through to the 4th level evolvers. Then, there are about 30 or so 3rd level evolvers in the Luo clan, and there should be about 100 2nd level evolvers. The Zhang family was originally the richest family in Luocheng. Before the Doomsday, they used money to recruit many people. After the Doomsday, because a strong man appeared in the Zhang family, these people did not leave and continued to stay. The strongest person in the Zhang family, that is, the head of the Zhang family, also has the strength of a 4th level evolver. I don't know about the rest of the situation. The Xia family was the 2nd richest family in Luocheng before the Doomsday. After the Doomsday, it quickly integrated some other families and gradually became more and more powerful. Now it can be evenly matched with the Zhang family. The head of the Xia family is still a 4th level evolver. I don't know much about the rest of the situation. Wang Changping told him all the information he knew. In this regard, he did not deliberately keep anything back, and indeed said as much as he knew. Which of these 3 forces is the strongest? Lin Fan asked. At present, it should be Luomen, Wang Changping said uncertainly, so he added the word should. Because he had not seen these 3 forces really fight each other. He could only make a rough guess based on some of the information he usually got. Where are these 3 forces in Luocheng? Lin Fan asked again. The 3 forces are almost in a triangle in Luocheng, Wang Changping continued. The area we are in now, if you really want to say it, it can also be regarded as Luomen's territory, but if you go a little to the left, you will reach the Zhang family's territory, which is equivalent to the left side where Luomen and Zhang family meet. I see, Lin Fan nodded thoughtfully. By the way, Brother Fan, I want to remind you, Wang Changping said. What? You say? Lin Fan gestured. It's in the area to the left of our position, where the Luomen territory and the Zhang family territory meet. It was reported that there are level 4 zombies. You should avoid them. Otherwise, it will be bad if you run into them, Wang Changping reminded him with a serious face. He didn't know that Lin Fan had the strength of a level 4 evolver. After all, Lin Fan looked so young, and it was incredible that he was stronger than Murinzu and the others. How could he guess that Lin Fan had reached the level 4 evolver? Level 4 zombie. However, when Lin Fan heard what Wang Changping said, his eyes almost shone. He just wanted to encounter a level 4 zombie, especially a level 4 zombie that he could deal with. Because, in this way, he could get the energy crystals in the body of the level 4 zombie. After absorbing the energy crystals, his strength could also be improved faster. The level 3 energy crystals were given to Murinzu and the others, and he could use the level 4 energy crystals. However, in front of Wang Changping, he didn't need to show anything. He nodded and said, okay, thank you for reminding us. We will pay attention to it. After that, Lin Fan stood up, glanced at Murinzu and the others, and said, let's go. We won't delay here any longer. Brother Fan, are you leaving now? Wang Changping asked as he stood up. Yes, we have other things to do, Lin Fan nodded. Okay, then Brother Fan, take care. Wang Changping finally thanked him again. Thank you for today, you're welcome. Although we saved you, we also got the information we wanted from you. We are even, Lin Fan smiled. Hearing Lin Fan say this, Wang Changping felt that Lin Fan was a great person. If it weren't for the fact that their team was so weak, he would have wanted to follow Lin Fan with his team. Lin Fan and the others didn't delay any longer. They walked down from the office building with Andy and quickly left the area. After seeing Lin Fan and the others leave, Wang Changping sighed. This is the true genius of the young generation. Yes, I don't know where they are from. They are so young, but so powerful, and they don't covet our resources. They don't want them even if we give them to them, the man on the left said. The woman also came over and looked at the direction where Lin Fan and the others disappeared, saying, others don't covet our resources, which can only mean one thing. What's the problem? Wang Changping and the man on the left looked at the woman at the same time. The woman took a deep breath and said in a serious tone, it means that others don't lack these resources at all, otherwise how could they not be tempted by our resources? Don't you think this is the truth? Yes, it makes sense. Wang Changping and the man on the left looked at each other and nodded at the same time. Okay. They've all left, so we don't have to stay here any longer. Take the things we just packed and let's go, Wang Changping said. Yes, everyone answered in unison, and also went downstairs and left without staying any longer. Chapter 474. Two groups of people. Wang Changping and his friends knew that there might be level 4 zombies on the left, so they naturally would not go to the left. After going downstairs, they went to the right. Of course, in their opinion, Lin Fan and his friends should also go to the right. After all, he had reminded Lin Fan and his friends, and he believed that Lin Fan and his friends would make the right choice. Unfortunately, he did not know that Lin Fan had the strength of a level 4 evolver, and he did not know that Lin Fan wanted to deal with level 4 zombies in order to obtain the energy crystals of level 4 zombies. On the left side of the office building, on a street, 5 people and a dog were walking. These 5 people and 1 dog were undoubtedly Lin Fan and his 5 friends and Andy. Brother Lin Fan, didn't the man just say that there were level 4 zombies in this direction? Why are we still going in this direction? Muran Shan looked at Lin Fan and asked with some confusion. At this time, Muran Shan did not expect that Lin Fan was thinking about dealing with level 4 zombies, and thought that Lin Fan remembered the wrong direction. Without waiting for Lin Fan to answer, Muran Zhu said, Xiao Shan, we came here to gain experience and improve. If we want to improve as quickly as possible, we naturally need energy crystals. That person told us that there might be level 4 zombies in this direction. If we don't go over to take a look, wouldn't it be a waste? Muran Zhu said so. How could Muran Shan still not react? Her eyes lit up and she quickly said, Sister, do you mean that brother Lin Fan wants to deal with the level 4 zombies and take the energy crystals from their bodies? Yes, that's what I mean. Muran Zhu nodded. Brother Lin Fan, is that true? After seeing Muran Zhu nod, Muran Shan looked at Lin Fan and asked. Lin Fan smiled slightly and nodded, saying, let's go and take a look first. If there really is a level 4 zombie and I can handle it, then I can't miss it. The energy crystal of the level 4 zombie is still very useful to me. If there is no level 4 zombie, or the level 4 zombie is too strong and I can't handle it at all, then I can only give up. Lin Fan was telling the truth. After all, he didn't know how strong the level 4 zombie he encountered was. If it was stronger than him, then they would have to retreat after seeing it. Level 4 zombies, I have never seen one before. I hope I will have a chance to see it this time, Muran Shan said hurriedly. Haha, let's go and take a look, Lin Fan said with a smile. When the 5 of them and the dog were walking towards their destination, there was also a group of people in another direction with the same destination as them. These people were wearing uniform sportswear, but if you look closely, you can see that there is a word Luo drawn on the chest of their clothes. They are the people of Luomen and Luocheng. The 2 men in the lead, one of them was about 50 years old, with a rather burly figure and a fierce look on his face. You could tell at a glance that he was not a kind person. Next to the middle-aged man was a man in his 20s. The man was also quite burly, and from the looks, he could be seen to be somewhat similar to the middle-aged man. Second uncle, this time for the level 4 zombies, I guess the Zhang family will also come to fight for the energy crystals. What do you think? The man asked. The Zhang family? In such a position, they will definitely come. Not coming is not in line with their style of doing things. The middle-aged man was the man's second uncle, and he said indifferently, but there is no need to worry about them. Let them come. They are destined not to be able to fight for that level 4 zombie. With the second uncle here, can we still give the level 4 energy crystal to them? The middle-aged man's tone was obviously full of confidence, and he had already regarded the energy crystals of the level 4 zombies as theirs. Or, he didn't take the Zhang family seriously at all. He has already broken through to the 4th level of the evolver for 2 months. His strength is very strong, and it is normal for him to have such confidence. Haha, what second uncle said is right. Everything depends on second uncle. As long as there is another 4th level energy crystal for me to absorb, my strength will definitely be able to enter the level of the 4th level of the evolver. The man laughed loudly. His strength is already at the peak of the 3rd level of the evolver, not much away from the 4th level of the evolver. If he can absorb the energy of a 4th level crystal, then he will have the confidence to break through directly to become a 4th level of the evolver. Don't worry, Xia Ocean, this 4th level energy crystal, second uncle will get it for you no matter what. The middle-aged man's tone is still full of confidence. Then thank you second uncle first, Luo Xia Ocean said with a smile. Why are you being polite to me, Xia Ocean? The middle-aged man waved his hand. If nothing unexpected happens, Luo Xia Ocean will become the young master of their Luomen. In the future, Luomen will fall to Luo Xia Ocean to take charge. Even if he is Luo Xia Ocean's second uncle, he also needs to have a good relationship with Luo Xia Ocean to make the relationship more solid. Therefore, this time when he came out with Luo Xia Ocean, he must kill the 4th level zombie and then take the 4th level energy crystal for Luo Xia Ocean. In this way, the relationship between him and Luo Xia Ocean will instantly be taken to a higher level. By the way, second uncle, I heard that a convoy entered Luocheng yesterday, and it seemed to be heading towards the Century Plaza. Do you know about this? Luo Xia Ocean asked again quickly. I know, the middle-aged man nodded and said, but we don't need to pay attention to this kind of thing. Someone from Luomen will keep an eye on it. We just need to do what we should do, okay, second uncle, I remember. Luo Xia Ocean nodded. He just asked casually and didn't intend to go into it. Luomen is such a big force with many people. Obviously, They will arrange people to investigate clearly, and he really doesn't need to worry about anything. While Luo Zai was talking to the middle-aged man, a group of people were walking on the road in another direction. The number of this group of people was not much different from that of Luo Zai and others. There were also two figures walking in the front. However, these two figures looked thinner, not as sturdy as Luo Zai and the middle-aged man. It was obvious that this group of people were from the Zhang family. Zhang Anping looked ahead and said calmly, "Uncle Six, how far are we from that place?" Next to Zhang Anping, the thin man thought for a moment and replied, "Anping, at our current speed, it will take about half an hour, which is pretty fast." "Half an hour," Zhang Anping muttered. Then changed the subject and said, "Luo Zai and the others must be on the way. I wonder if they will arrive first or us." Chapter 475 Level 4 Zombie. Whether they arrive first or not, that level 4 zombie is ours, and we must get a level 4 energy crystal, the thin man said. "Sixth uncle, who do you think came with Luo Zai from Luomen this time?" Zhang Anping asked. "It's hard to say. There are still many people from Luomen. However, if I really have to guess, it is very likely Luo Beijing, right?" The thin man shook his head and said, "I am just guessing. We will know who they are after seeing them." "Yes," Zhang Anping responded and said, "No matter who they are, I will break through to become a level 4 evolver before Luo Zai. After you get this level 4 energy crystal, you will definitely break through before Luo Zai," the salesman said. "Yes, we only need this level 4 energy crystal," Zhang Anping nodded. "Okay, then let's go at full speed to prevent them from taking the lead," the thin man pondered. Zhang Anping naturally had no objection to this. Under the leadership of the thin man, the group sped up and ran towards their destination. Lin Fan and Andy continued walking on the road. Their destination this time was actually a large sports plaza. The sports plaza covered a very large area. Under normal circumstances, it would not be a problem to accommodate 100,000 people. The level 4 zombies were staying in it. "Brother Lin Fan, the sports plaza is in front of us. Should we just go there or find a place to wait and see?" Muran Shan looked ahead and then turned her head to ask Lin Fan. Lin Fan looked around and said, "No need to wait and see, just go there." The main reason was that there were no high-rise buildings close to the sports plaza. If the distance was too far, he would not be able to use the ring to read the data. He had to be within a certain distance to read it. Since there were no high-rise buildings close to them, it would be useless for them to go to the high-rise buildings far away. It would be better to get closer to see it more clearly. With his current strength, even if he uses his supernatural powers, he is not that powerful. But as long as he does not encounter a very powerful level 4 zombie, it should not be a big problem to cover the retreat of Muranzu and others. With this decision, Lin Fan and his companions did not delay anymore and sped up to approach the sports plaza. Of course, they still rely on Andy to determine the location of the sports plaza. Andy is still very useful in sensing the number and direction of zombies. Roar! Roar! When they appeared within a certain range of the sports plaza, they could hear the harsh roar of zombies coming from the sports plaza. This kind of sports plaza should have 4 doors, and there are entrances in all 4 directions. "Which direction should we go in?" Muranzu asked after taking a look. "It's alright. Let's go from the door closest to us," Lin Fan said. "Okay." Muranzu, Muranshan, Li Zihan and Mu Hongling all had no objection to this. The 5 people and the dog walked towards the entrance door in front of them. There were zombies at the gate and around it, but these zombies were ordinary zombies and could not pose any threat to them at all. They soon arrived at the gate. At the same time, outside the other 2 gates, people from Luomen and Zhang family also arrived one after another. They also had no other choice and walked in from the gate closest to them. The sports plaza is really big. After passing through the gate, you can't see it all at a glance. After all, there are some buildings in the middle. Most of the zombies gathered in the central area, which is also where the 4th level zombies exist. Lin Fan walked in the front, leading Muranzu and Andy to shuttle through the stadium, and soon came to the central area of the stadium. "Brother Lin Fan, look over there," Muran Shan whispered, pointing to the center below. Lin Fan and others looked over and saw a large group of zombies gathered there. The number of this group of zombies, roughly estimated, is at least not less than 40,000 or 50,000. Lin Fan glanced and locked onto the most conspicuous zombie among them. "Read," he said in his heart without hesitation, and read the data of the zombie. Species, zombie level 4 strength, 18 speed, 18 reaction, 18 superpower. None of the data information of the zombie appeared clearly in Lin Fan's sight. It is indeed a level 4 zombie. Lin Fan's heart jumped. However, this level 4 zombie does not seem to be that simple. You know, all the data have reached 18, which is equivalent to the strength of the late level 4. Although it is still a little short of the peak of the level 4, this strength is already very strong. After all, his current data is only 16, not even 17. With my current strength, if I use my superpowers, I will definitely have no problem dealing with a zombie with data of 17, and I will also have no problem holding back a zombie with data of 18, but if I want to directly kill a zombie with data of 18, it seems to be very difficult. Soon, Lin Fan frowned. He was very clear about his own strength. The strength of this level 4 zombie was not simple at all. It would be very difficult for him to deal with it alone. Moreover, apart from this level 4 zombie, there were as many as 50 level 3 zombies among the other zombies, and there were even more than 100 level 2 zombies. If 50 level 3 zombies really surrounded them, Murengzhu, Murengshan, Li Zihan, Mu Hongling and Andy would definitely not be able to deal with them without him. Therefore, to deal with this group of zombies, there must be a specific plan, otherwise it would definitely not work. Brother Lin Fan, the strength of this group of zombies is still not simple. How should we deal with it? Especially the level 4 zombie. Are you sure you can deal with it? Murengshan also glanced at the group of zombies. She could also see the existence of the level 4 zombie. After all, the level 4 zombies were different from other zombies in all aspects, and it could be clearly felt. Hearing Murengshan's question, Murengzhu, Li Zihan and Mu Hongling all turned their attention to Lin Fan. They were also very curious about this question. After all, Lin Fan came here to deal with the 4th level zombies and obtain the energy crystals in the bodies of the 4th level zombies. In their team, only Lin Fan had the strength to deal with the 4th level zombies. If even Lin Fan couldn't deal with them, then they couldn't count on him at all. End of this chapter. Thank you very much for reaching the end. Don't forget to like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription, or donation encourages us to continue. Thanks to everyone. See you in the next video.